Hear me. Now you can hear me. Now you can see me. You already know the vibes, man. It's Solo Kenny. Solo Kenny. Yep. What's going on, man? Poor Damien. He's got the craziest little setup. Mia's over here too. But that reminds me. I gotta put something out on Instagram. Y'all don't mind me. Just handling something. What's going on, everybody? It's your main man, Kenny Caraway, in here solo dolo today. Solo dolo-ish. James should be here at some point. James is working. He got a job. He should be here at some point. We got guests lined up. We're gonna have a good time today, man. We're gonna have a real good time. Jesse on the boards. And y'all too, man. Like pull up. When it's me and Damien, we talking. Like we vibing. We got things to talk about. But when it's just one of us, man, I like to hear from the people, man. I want to hear what the people got to say. So call in, get your 2 cents in. Okay, hold on 1 second. I'll hang up on you and call you an idiot. I won't do that. Yeah. Oh, that's me. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Riggs.
Yeah. We got him screaming D-Lo, KC, D-Lo, KC, D-Lo, KC, D-Lo. We got him screaming D-Lo, KC, D-Lo, KC, D-Lo, D-Lo. We your number one spot. We your number one spot for some sports, huh? Got the city going crazy when we work, huh? We top 2, but we ain't 2, we in first, huh? And when you need the real, we is who you search, huh? D-Lo, KC, D-Lo, KC, D-Lo, KC, D-Lo. We your number one spot.
Yes, sir. You already know the vibes, man. D-Lo and KC here on your airwaves, ESPN 1320 on your radio dial. We don't really have dials anymore, but it's whatever. The old schools are in. You may have a dial. Even in the old schools, they be putting in the new little decks and all that other stuff. So I don't know if you have one, but if you do, ESPN 13 on your radio dial, on YouTube, on Twitch, on the Odyssey app. And as you can see, it's your main man, Kenny Caraway. Where's my acknowledge me? There it is.
Acknowledge me.
That's all we got. That's all we got right now. It's just your main man, Kenny Caraway. D-Lo is out today, enjoying himself, having to live in his best life. The man works hard. He deserves to have a little rest and relaxation. I don't know what he's doing, to be honest with you. I hope he's resting and relaxation, but he's out today. I'm holding it down for a little while. It'll be just me. But then my main man, the Hammer, James the Hammer Valentine, is pulling up on us. James Ham is going to come in whenever he's done down at the Golden One Center, doing what he does as shoot around. They got the G League game today. So he's working. Whenever he gets in, we said, James, whenever you can, pull up on us. He'll come in here and do the rest of the show with me. But I'll be in here for just a little bit, man, enjoying this Friday. I came in here turned up today, man. I was riding in. Sun was shining. It's a beautiful Friday afternoon. I had good vibes on. I was coming in. I wanted to like listen to some kind of podcast or something like that, right? I was just like, yeah, I got to, get my mind right, prep for the show or whatever the case may be. Let me listen to I don't know, Chris Mannix boxing. I don't know what I need to listen to, whatever the case may be. But I had Lil Wayne's Essentials on driving in, and I just couldn't turn it off. Wheezy got me all the way from Elk Grove to the studio, just bobbing my head, rapping, talking crazy. Ended up on fire, man. It was a party. It was a party in the spaceship on the way here. But I'm also in a great mood, man, because the Kings are back in action today at the Golden One Center. They take on the Phoenix Suns, and we are getting closer and closer and closer to the Kings clinching the playoff spot that has eluded them for so long, that has eluded them for 16 long years. Now, they still got work to do. I think the magic number, last time I checked, was at 3. The magic number to have home court advantage is at 4. And you can do a lot of damage with that magic number tonight with the win against the Phoenix Suns. Actually, the magic number, I think, would only go down to 2. I feel like I don't know how these things work, man. I feel like it should be a little bit more for being able to have home court advantage since the Suns are right behind you. But when there's 7 teams separated by a game and a half, these things tend to happen. You don't really know. The bottom line is the Kings need to take care of business. Absolutely. You take care of business. You don't have to worry about anybody else winning or losing. You've got the guys right here in front of you to get the victory and cut down that magic number yourself. So Phoenix Suns at the Golden One Center tonight. We had some good news as Kevin Huerter said today he's playing tonight. And that's something that I looked at in that Boston Celtics game specifically. And I said, all right, it's time to get that boy K Dog back. It's time to get that man Kayvon back in the fold because that offense, it's just different. Kessler Edwards, he's doing a phenomenal job filling in the way he's filling in, doing what he can. I love seeing the young fella. I got high hopes for him for what he may be able to do moving forward. But right now, with what the Kings are trying to do, yeah, I'm gonna need Kevin Huerter in there. And it looks different offensively when Kevin Huerter isn't in there. The 2-man game with Sabonis, like I mentioned the other day, they tried to do it a lot more with Keegan Murray, which is fine. Like Keegan's fine with it. He's cool, but he's not Kayvon. Kayvon and Domantas Sabonis, they got some kind of synergy going on that is exclusive almost to this team. Only thing closer to it is Malik Monk handling the ball in a pick and roll with Sabonis. They got something else going on too, but it just looks different, man. It looks different. So it'll be good to have him back. It'll also be good to get people in their proper roles. So Kessler Edwards, who, like I said, he didn't do a bad job starting. He was fine. I have no problem with what he did. But now you get him in the role coming off the bench, being a specialty guy, being a guy that can focus in on guarding Devin Booker, that can focus in on guarding Abaji, who went off against the Kings last time. Focus in on guarding those type of guys, Ant-Man, as opposed to saying, hey, we need you to put up some points too to kind of help make up for what Kevin Huerter did or isn't able to do since he's out. So it's one of those things where it just puts everybody in their natural spot. Good to have him back. And, I was doing some thinking earlier today. You guys know what happens when I do some thinking, man. Things start to happen. Things start to move, right? And there's this meme going on right now. Oh, it's been around for a while. Matter of fact, I think it's Kevin Durant's profile pic. And I don't know, Jesse, do you know what movie this is from where, they got all the swords on it? It's not like The Princess and the Frog. It's
one of those Disney ones, but I don't know exactly which one it is.
Yeah, it's a Disney movie. If you guys know in the chat, just for clarification purposes, let me know. But it's a meme where I think it's a prince or something like that, or somebody that's trying to fight or do whatever. He is in a tough situation where all his ops, they saying it's Shrek. Leezy says it's Shrek. It's Tangled. I think it is Tangled. Who's that? Burnt Pizza Boy says it's Tangled. I think it's Tangled. It's definitely not Shrek. Kimberly says it's Shrek too. I think it's Tangled.
That's definitely not Shrek. I know Shrek. That's not Shrek.
Jesse said, don't play with me when it comes to Shrek. Yeah, I think it's Tangled. But anyway, the prince in there, all his ops, they've got him cornered. And they've got their swords right in front of them. There's like 70 swords in front of him. And he's got a smirk. He's like, yeah, you can't do nothing to me. I ain't worried about that. I know this is what you guys want. You think you got me cornered, but I'm not tripping. I got the courage of my convictions, right? That's the meme going on. And the whole thing is about like, what's an unpopular opinion that would have you in this situation? And I did the Kings edition today. Everybody got their own little edition. I saw Bay Area Sports, they got one. Everybody got their own little edition, right? And I did the Kings one. And first and foremost, I got a bunch of responses a bunch of interesting responses. I'm gonna definitely read some of those out. I want to know what you guys think out there in the chatty house. Put it in the chatty house. What's your king's unpopular opinion, or your king's opinion that would have you like the prince in Tangled, or whatever the case may be? And for those that don't see the visual, it's just something that you believe that would have other people like you're crazy, or you're dead wrong, or you're tripping. It would have like the whole mob would be on you like you're crazy for having this opinion. What's your opinion that you believe in like that? Let me know what it is in the chatty house. If you want to call in, let me know what you think your opinion would be like that. And Twitter has some interesting responses, right? Because I had mine, and I'll give you mine. I said, my response, my opinion that would elicit a response like that is, I don't think the Kings have to be a better defensive team to make the NBA Finals. And I know it's like sacrilegious, right? Kings do not have to be a better defensive team to make the NBA Finals. Now, I want you guys to like lock in on the wording. And the wording is very intentional. It's very specific. I said the Kings don't have to be a better defensive team to make the NBA Finals. Not that I don't care, not that I don't want them to, not that it wouldn't help things if they were a better defensive team. Absolutely. I want them to play better defense every single night. I do. It's not that I don't care about it. I want them to play better defense. But I look at what's going on in the Western Conference, and I say they don't have to be better on defense to get where they want to get. As long as they're still scoring around the same clip that they are, or they have been all season long. I'm not saying that, they got to score 120 points either. You know the stat, the 114 or more. They're like, 33-9 or something like that, something crazy. I mean, it reminds me a little bit of when people used to always say a jump shooting team can't win a championship before Steph Curry and Klay Thompson and the Warriors came around. And don't get it twisted. I'm not saying that the Kings are as great as Steph Curry and Klay Thompson are at shooting. I'm not making that proclamation. But I will say this. Like, I think they need to start getting some respect for the historic offense that they're putting together right now. This is the best offense that the league has ever seen statistically. I'm just going the offensive rating. Everybody talking about offensive rating and all this other stuff. I may be the highest points per game of all time. I'm not exactly sure. Last time I checked, they were at 121 a night. It may be the highest points per game in the history of the league. But when you talk about the offensive rating and all the metrics that they use, it's been said a number of different times. This is the most prolific offense in the history of the game. And when you talk about an offense like that, that's not a team that's just leading the league in scoring, averaging 113. This is one of the best. And I mentioned it last week. They don't seem to get the respect that they deserve offensively for what they're accomplishing. If they can continue to have some semblance of that, I'm staying with it. I put all the swords right to my neck, right to my face. I'm smirking. I don't care. The Kings don't have to be better defensively to make the NBA Finals. We're going to talk about all of that. I want to hear what you guys got to say. Chime in on the airwaves. Call us in. Let us know what you think. Tap in the chatty house. Hit me on Twitter at IMKDiddy. We got a whole lot of things going on. We got a lot of guests coming up. We got the Statty Batty. I'll ask him the same question, what his unpopular opinion, his tangled opinion is, not entanglement, tangle opinion is on the Sacramento Kings. I'll talk to him about it. My main man, Will Z. We got my main man, Brian Katz, Coach Brian Katz. I always call him Coach. He's coming in, rapping with me at 12:50 to talk about everything that's going on with the NCAA tournament. And we got to talk about the Kings with Coach Katz. You know what that is. We got my main man, the Louis Vuitton Don, Mark Jones. He's pulling up on us at 1:20. We'll talk Kings with him, and then we're gonna bring home one of the young goats, Lina Washington, formerly of ABC 10, now back in her home city and state. Well, Phoenix is a city, state is Arizona. Back in her hometown of Phoenix, Arizona. Lina Washington doing her thing out in Phoenix. She's going to come back to Sacramento real quick and talk to us about the Phoenix Suns and what we have to look forward to with this matchup tonight at the Golden One Center with the Kings and the Phoenix Suns. We are just getting started. It's D-Lo and KC, just KC for right now. James Ham will be here soon. Right now, it's just your boy on ESPN 1320.
The Kings, they're the 18th highest scoring team of all time as far as points per game, but everyone before them played from like 83 and before that. So like I guess if you want to go modern day.
That's a vibe. That's a vibe. When we come back, say that when we come back. I'm gonna text you that email address. Hold on one second, guys. Gotta get this to my main man, Jesse Tapia. That's Coach Katz. Let me get Lina's. Lina told me she's gonna try to stream, and because she might like be at the airport, but if it doesn't work, she'll call in too. Come on, man. Hold on one second, guys. Hold on one second. Man, this is a mess. All right, we'll do it like this. Y'all hold on one second. Just getting a couple things in real quick. Jesse, this copy and paste wouldn't work. I'm gonna just send you this little screenshot. And thank you, because that's exactly what I was looking for. I didn't want to say the old one. I think in my notes I have the old one still. Chatty House, if you guys, I kept on saying if you guys want to call in. Never said the number. 916-909-1320. Holla at me. Let's see, man. Let's see. We got some unpopular opinions up in here. The tangled version. Unpopular opinion. What did I say to sound like Hassan Whiteside? John Post, don't get mad at me because y'all couldn't finish off the comeback last night. Huh? Oh, my bad. There go my guy. Will, what's up, man?
What's up, Kenny?
What's
Look,
good?
you running the show.
Man, I'm doing what I can. There's a lot going on.
I still remember.
Damien does a good job with it, man. He does a great job with it, but we'll get it in. There goes Kim.
I still remember the first day that you did it, when like kind of prepping for this type of stuff. I love it. Just seeing how good you're doing with it. You're killing it.
Oh, thank you, brother. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
How you doing today, man?
I'm good. Glad it's Friday. Ready for the weekend. Ready for some basketball.
Absolutely. It's a beautiful
Looking forward to it.
Beautiful day.
Yeah.
Hold on.
I got some answers to some of the questions you were saying in the first segment too, with like total points and where the Kings rank there and all that.
Let's go. You guys don't mind me. I have to make this post real quick on Instagram with the Sacramento Kings and Ice Spice. Yeah. Don't worry about me. I gotta tag Ice. I gotta tag Ice Spice in this. Oh, there she is. I don't follow her, so I don't know if that's her right joint, but yeah. Yeah, shout out Ice Spice. I think she hopes the Kings clinch sometime soon. There he is. He's in here early. I was expecting to go like hours without my guy, but he's in here. Oh, I've been busy. James Ham in the building, everybody. He gets on whenever he needs to get on. Oh, man.
Are you on break?
Yeah. We're on a break right now.
Sweet.
Yeah, man. I had to tag Ice Spice. If you guys want to see why I had to tag Ice Spice, go to my Instagram. I put it on my stories. I had to tag her though.
Is that the worst when you tag someone and you're not following them?
Yeah, I don't think I'm following Ice Spice. I don't have. I mean, I would not follow Ice Spice. That's not on my radar to follow Ice Spice.
No idea who I spy.
James Ham is in the building, man. James Ham is here. Yes, sir. Let me change the banner now. There we go. I got this. It's all good. What's up, James?
Hey, James.
Hold up, man.
Did you see my question on Twitter? I'll explain it when we get
I
in.
did see your question on Twitter, but remind me what it was.
No, I'm gonna say it on the show.
Okay,
I'll
cool.
put it on the show.
Save it.
Yeah, I'll put it on the show.
Hi, friendos.
How's it going, James?
James Hand, he's in here for the long haul with me today. There goes Kelly. There goes, who's that? Oh, that's Justine. All right, here we go. Back here on D-Lo and KC. D-Lo is a much-deserved day off. He's just maxing and relaxing, doing what he does. And now, I was by myself before, but now I got not only one guest with me, I got two guests with me. I got James the Hammer Valentine. That's what we call him nowadays. He knows what time it is. And I got the Statty Batty, Will Z, in the building with me here on D-Lo and KC. First of all, what's going on, guys? How you guys doing?
Doing
Will?
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My bad.
No, you're good. Happy to be here.
Will, how are you doing?
I am good. Excited for some basketball. Hoping for a good game tonight after some losses, but yeah. looking.
Me too. James, how are you doing?
I'm good. Just came from a shoot around. Got Kevin Herter, talked to De'Aaron Fox, then jumped over. The Stockton Kings are playing at Golden 1 today.
Yeah. Are they in the playoffs yet? Or is it just winding up?
Because this is the final game, and then they have a first round bye because they're the number 1 seed. I'm really bummed out though. Scala Sierras is playing for Mexico City.
Really?
And I didn't get to go say hi to Scal, my guy. I'm a little bummed out about that. But I did get to hang out with Ricardo Breas, who is here from Portugal, who is, if people are on Twitter, he covers the NBA from Portugal, and he's out seeing Amias and got to catch a Kings game, and then he's driving down tonight to catch a Warriors game. So
nice.
Then he's back to Portugal.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's pretty dope, man. So there's a couple things there. First of all, Jordan Ford is balling right now down there in Stockton. He's doing his thing. Shout out to my man Trey Burke, who's still with the Stockton Kings, stayed all season. Shout out Michigan, stand up. My man Trey Burke. But yeah, Jordan Ford, he's looking impressive. Sacramento native, St. Mary, stand up.
Yeah, he's been huge, and I think that they really have found something there, especially anytime you can get a veteran to lead your G League team, your G League team is going to be solid. So having Trey Burke there the whole season, I think has been tremendous. That was a very, very nice addition. I'm surprised he's still there too. But just that veteran leadership, that NBA understanding, and he's really helped elevate the rest of the guys. And we're seeing guys grow, which is that's the reason why you got the G League. You watch players grow.
Absolutely. Will Z, man, the Statty Batty, Kings, Suns, tonight at the Golden 1 Center. Will Z, I was talking before. I had a long soliloquy, James, about how the King. Well, there was a couple different things in that whole dialogue, but one of the things I said was the Kings have one of, if not the greatest offense statistically in the history of the game. People talk about offensive rating and their clutch performances and all this other stuff. That's all I'm going by. With the actual eye, yeah, I've seen what I feel is better offenses, more potent offenses. But when you go by the numbers, one of, if not the best offense in the history of the game. And I don't feel like it's getting talked about in that way. They're just they're great on offense. Like, no, this is one of the greatest offenses we've ever seen. Will, you said you had some numbers to either kind of back that up or debunk my claim that this is one of the best offenses in the history of the game.
No, I think you're right, and it's I found I think we all know that by advanced offensive rating, they're the top offense that we've seen in the NBA. In terms of points per game, they're sitting at 120.9, which would be 18th in the history of the NBA. I mean, even just no matter how you look at it, being 18th in anything in the entire history of the NBA it's mind-blowing. And the fact that we've said it all year, have so many different things they can do. I mean, they're on pace to have the highest 2-point field goal percentage ever. That's something that I think doesn't get talked about enough. I think that the NBA and media and fans are so enamored by the 3-point shot right now that that's kind of what everyone focuses on. But the Kings aren't a one-trick pony. They don't just shoot the three well. They have that inside game that they can turn to. And honestly, I think that's why Herter coming back is so big tonight against the Suns, is he's so vital to that inside game, not just his 3-point shooting.
Yeah, I mean, they're shooting 58.6% from three on the season. I mean, from two on the season. And they steadily improved as a 3-point shooting squad as well. They're up to 37.4%, which is 8th in the NBA. And they take the 5th most threes in the league. And what we've seen is from the beginning of the season, guys like Harrison Barnes were struggling, and Kevin Herter was just on a heater in the first month of the season. Yeah. But again, guys like Malik Monk weren't that hot. Keegan Murray took a little while to get his sea legs. Now we're starting to see this team flow, and you can use that 3-point shot to open up this 2-point shot. That's huge. And like, again, we were talking to Fox today, and sort of the question was like, how much do you guys miss what Kevin Herter brings? And he said that the gravity that Kevin brings to the court when he comes off that high screen and roll, or that he goes for the 3-pointer off the high Sabonis handoff, that like two guys are going right towards him the whole time. And even if he's not hitting that shot, what that does for the rest of the offense is just crazy. It opens up Sabonis to roll right to the rim. It opens up everything for Fox to attack from a different angle. And so like this group has really found their collective game. You know, again, guys like Trey Lyles, who all of a sudden shooting 37-point-something% from three. Davion Mitchell improving his 3-point percentage. Yeah, I think that the 3 helps the 2, the 2 helps the 3, and that's what we're seeing, a really, really high quality offense.
Yeah, absolutely. And Will, to your point about the 18th highest points per game average in the history of the league, I think Jesse looked that up as well. And Jesse, didn't you say like
they got the 18th highest points per game scoring average? That's the most since the 83-84 season when the Nuggets were up there.
That's what I was just about to say. Like all those other ones were in the Big O days. You know, they talking about Big O in the chat, but it was from those days. So when you talk about 83, I mean, show my age. I'm about to turn 40. So in the last 40 years, this is the highest points per game in the history of the league.
And it's funny because so many of since so-and-so, since 83, since 87, all those stats, it's almost always the Denver Nuggets. So in my mind, I have this intense rivalry of this year's Kings with the 80-90 Denver Nuggets, and I just want the Kings to beat them. It's just a ridiculous little thing, but it's like, I know who I'm competing against in these historical stats.
It's always Alex English.
Kiki Vanderwage.
And then Michael Adams.
Yeah.
I think Fat Lever was there.
Fat Lever, that's good knowledge. They had that was Doug Moe, right? Doug Moe was the coach.
Yeah, let me see. 83, 84. Alex English led the league at 28.4 points per game, just to kind of put it in perspective.
It's a bucket.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He was an offensive juggernaut for sure. They're Doug Moe. Doug Moe led teams.
Yeah. So we'll see. I know he's a statty batty, but come in with a basketball discussion with us real quick, man. And I'll let James into the opinion that I had, what I talked about earlier. So you know the meme that's going around, like I said, I think it's Kevin Durant's actual profile picture, but we confirmed it was from Tangled, where the prince or whatever has his back up against the wall and there's all these swords in front of him and he's got a smirk. Like, look, I'll show you I'll show James the picture right here. You seen that on Twitter, right?
Yeah, I believe that's Zach Levy.
Well, that's even better.
Yeah, Chuck.
Yep.
Chuck from the TV show Chuck. And he's also now
Oh,
in Shazam.
Got you. The voice for it.
Yes,
Oh,
yes,
okay,
yes, yes.
okay.
And he's not the prince.
Who
He's
Yeah,
well,
he
what
looked like
he ends
somebody
up
that's
being,
like
I'm not sure, but
yeah, he looks like somebody that's like
he's a thief.
yeah, thief, but he's he's a good guy that catches the attention of the princess, and it's like almost like Beauty and the Beast almost, right? So that's a bad analogy
Something
because
like
he's not
that.
the
It's
beast.
more like
but remember,
Aladdin.
remember the prince in Beauty and the Beast was
Yeah.
like a jackass, and
Yeah.
don't worry about it. No, you get what I'm saying.
I don't know where we're going here, but go ahead. Swords drawn. What do you got
drawn
for us,
on him,
Kenny?
and the whole thing on social media right now is, what opinion would have you like this? Like, and essentially it's what opinion are you confident in that you can say with your chest and you can smirk and everybody else would be, swords stuck out at you and like ready to get you off of Twitter, right? I did a Kings version, right? My opinion that would put me in that situation was the Kings don't have to be better on defense to make the NBA Finals. They don't have to. Now, once again, listen to the wording. I didn't say, oh, I don't want them to be better or I don't hope that they get better, but I believe they can be the same defensive team they have been all season long. And as long as they're the same offensive team, they can make the NBA Finals.
Will, what do you got?
I think looking just at the West, I mean, sorry to play off of what you're saying, Kenny. I agree with you. I haven't come up with an idea on my own. So, James, if you have something that comes to mind, I'll continue to think.
And while you guys think about it, I'll say this, James, this is the correlation I made. I said it's traditionally, if you're 25th or whatever they are on the defensive end, you don't make the conference finals. Like you barely win a round in the playoffs, traditionally. But there's a couple things going on. A few things going on. Number one, the Western Conference, as it is this year, it's not super strong, and there's people out and teams that have holes or whatever the case may be. I think that plays a factor. Number two, the offense that we just talked about. Usually these teams that we play, they don't have the best offense that the league has seen in 40 years. So there's that. Number three, it's almost because of the way they play on the offensive end and how dominant they can be on the offensive end. I feel it's almost akin to when people used to say before the Warriors, jump shooting teams don't win NBA championships. Like when you're historically good at something, you can overcome the norm, the rule. You can be the exception to the rule. And I feel like, I don't know if they can do that and win the NBA championship. That's a different discussion. But this year, I don't think they have to be better on the defensive end to make the NBA Finals.
I guess the hill I'll like run up here and maybe die on. I'm not sure if I would die on it, but I think that what we've seen from this Kings team is that when they play a team the second and third time, they're better. And if you translate that into what a playoff series would look like, where you're playing the same team 4, 5, 6, 7 times in a row, and you got days off, I think that the Kings will be better defensively in that situation. That it's not like this is a dumb basketball team. I've covered plenty of dumb basketball teams here in Sacramento. Teams that like they're bad because they can't think their way through a game. And it's just all that they're doing is based on this raw skill set and not really going by the numbers, not really understanding the scout, all those things.
Yeah.
This is a very smart basketball team that just happens to have more offensive players than they do defensive players.
Wow.
And I think that they're going to, Mike Brown in a 7-game series, he's done it so many times that he's going to know how to make adjustments from game 1 to game 2 to game 2 to game 3. We'll see a different team from game 1 to game 5 almost every single night. And they're going to throw different looks. They're going to go back and forth between a zone and not a zone. Like they're going to do a lot of things where, some nights they'll switch 1 through 5 and other nights they won't do that at all. They'll play straight up. And so I really do think that not only the versatility of the players that you have and the intelligence of the players that you have, but also the roster that he has where he can go, if you've got to go big against somebody, you can. And if you need a shot blocker, you can go to Alex Len.
Right.
You haven't done it this season all that much, but you can. If you need someone to stop somebody on the perimeter, maybe you do give Davion a really, really long leash for a game and play him 30 minutes. Or maybe you go to a Kessler Edwards and you play him 25 minutes and you really give him a legitimate shot to slow somebody down. I think we'll see it tonight. Even if Kevin Huerter's back, they're still going to look at Kessler Edwards to defend Devin Booker.
Absolutely. Kevin played in Phoenix, right? When Kessler was there. Yeah, he was there. Yep.
Yeah, I think so. And so, I think the versatility of the roster, but also the intelligence, the basketball IQ of this particular team is really high. And that's why I agree with you that they can go into a series, and while their defense rating might not improve greatly, that doesn't mean that they're not improved from one game to the next, and they can make strides within a series.
Yeah. Will?
Yeah, I think I thought of mine, and it's De'Aaron Fox does not have to have a superstar performance in the playoffs for the Kings to get to the finals. And it's in line with what you were saying, James, where the Kings have that well-roundedness. I'd love for Fox to have a superstar, just go off 30 points, average, whatever. That doesn't have to happen for this team to win. And I think that the Kings, exactly like you were saying, James, play so smart and they don't force anything. So if teams are taking away Fox, they'll just do something else. And that's, to me, what makes this team so special, is that they're okay with that. They don't care about individual stats. Fox has been waiting a long time for the playoffs. I think we all expect him to go off once they start, but I don't think he has to in order for them to advance down the line.
Yeah, I like that. Will, you're not called the hypothetical baddie. You're called the statty baddie. So we didn't even get a chance. You got some numbers for us? Anything that stuck out to you for this game against the Suns, or did you have anything for the Jazz game as well? You got anything that you want to throw out there for us?
Yeah, looking at the Suns, I think it's one of my favorite stats that I found all season is the Chris Paul restricted area field goal. He's only taken 23 shots at the rim in his 51 games that he's played in. So it's just, he literally does not want to shoot at the rim. And he's got 19 and 16 assists in the last 2 games against the Kings. He wants to pass. If he wants to shoot, let him shoot. If he's going to do that multiple times, then maybe adjust the game plan. But he's just destroyed the Kings with his passing in the last few games. Yeah. And he doesn't want to take that shot all the way at the rim. He'll stop in the floater and the mid-range area, but he's just shown all year that he's not going to look for that type of shot at the rim.
I would, James and Will, if I was, if it was my scout, once again, I don't know when it turned into scout as opposed to scouting report, but if it was my scout, I would tell them go under on the screens and have him shoot the 3 ball. And if he crosses the 3-point line, just stay on his hip. If that means he goes by you and has a layup, I'd like to see Chris Paul, judging by your stats, I'd like to see him shoot 15 to 17 layups this year. I don't think tonight. I don't think he's going to do it. That's not what his game is this year. So I'd stay on his hip. I wouldn't be worried about him blowing by me and all this other stuff. I'd stay right connected to his hip. What he looks for is for you to back up and get that separation, kind of like De'Aaron, but in a different sense because he's a little older now. But so he can shoot that 14 to 15 to 16 foot jump shot or dish it off like you talked about. I wouldn't help off whoever's guarding him. It's you one-on-one. And let's see Chris Paul go for 40 tonight. Like, let's
Make him beat you.
make him beat me. Make him go for 40 tonight. I don't think, to Will's point, I don't think he wants to shoot the ball that much to go for 40.
You know, I haven't looked at the stats to see what that team is like without Aiden, because Aiden won't be there tonight.
Yeah.
And to me, the way that Chris Paul kills you and gets all those assists is a lot in the pick and roll with Aiden. And like, if you have that big rolling to the basket, which it's a bad matchup for Sabonis. And, you know, he's a guy who is big and strong, but also is really developed as like his 12-foot jump shot game. So in the pick and roll and the pick and pop, he's really hurt the Kings. And I think if without Aiden, I want to see what Chris Paul looks like, because it's not like Bismack Biyombo is going to be that player. He can score in the pick and roll, but he's not that player.
Right.
So what does Chris Paul look like without him? And I haven't looked it up. I did look up while we were chatting here. The Kings are 13-7 when De'Aaron Fox scores under 20 points. So to Will Z's point, like, they are a good team when he's scoring, when he's not scoring. You know, like, they have this ability. The 6 games over 500 when he's 19 points or less. That's really good. And it shows you that this team can win in a variety of different ways. It doesn't always have to be Fox going for 30. I will tell you, in the playoffs, I think Fox will go for 30 every single night.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
That's the unpopular. Put James right there. That's his tangled opinion. De'Aaron's going to have 30 every game in the playoffs.
And if he doesn't have 30 every game, he'll average 30 in the first round.
I
think
that.
that's...
Tweet it out, James. Tweet it out.
Put that on a shirt. I think it really does come down to, you know, him. Like, he is going to have that juice in the first round. He's so excited to get there. I asked him today about like the Pacific Division title, and he's like, okay. I mean, the Kings have only won the Pacific, I think, twice.
Wow.
So, like, this is a big deal. Like, you look at the Pacific. I mean, you win the Pacific? Like, are you kidding me?
That division is crazy. When
it's the Lakers, the Clippers, the Warriors, the Suns, and the Kings. And you expect the Kings to be last in that division every single time. The Kings could win the Pacific. If they win tonight, they almost secure the Pacific. It's crazy. It's crazy.
No doubt. Will, man, we appreciate you. I kept you on here a little longer than normal, man.
I love it. It's great.
A good little convo, man. So I know you got things to do. It's a busy day. It's a beautiful Friday. You may go out, take the dogs for a walk or anything. Take Hannah for a walk. You know, you got to walk. Got to get her up, make sure she's walking. You know what I mean? So you got to do that, man. So we appreciate you for hanging out with us a little longer today.
I appreciate you guys. Check out DeloandKC.com for the Will Z merch, by the way. It's live. Yes. I appreciate you all. Big ups to Damien for setting that up for me.
Absolutely.
And enjoy the rest of the show, guys.
Take care, Will. All right, man. Will Z, the Statty Batty, here on D'Lo and KC. Yeah, James, I kind of like that. I like what you said there. In the whole theme of this, I don't know if it's maybe it is an unpopular opinion. I don't know how to phrase it, but just something that people might attack you for. Some people might look at saying like, "Oh yeah, De'Aaron's going to average 30 for the first round of the playoffs or in the playoffs or whatever." We're like, that's crazy talk. I'm kind of with you. I think he's going to be ready. And sneaky, I don't know if this is strategic or not. I know Monday he played a lot, trying to bring them back. But in the Washington game and in the Boston game, it hadn't been like 26 minutes or something, like 26, 27 minutes in those two games. I feel like Mike is intentionally kind of watched his minutes, getting him, you know, whatever rest or refilling the tank a little bit, getting ready to go into the playoffs.
Yeah, he can play and not have to carry the weight of this team. If he can do that 5 or 6 times here in the last 10 games, that would be huge for this team. You don't want him taking days off. You don't want to let off the gas. You want to finish this thing out strong. But at the same time, if you can have games where either Davion steps up or, you know, whoever it is, you know, if you can rely more on Malik Monk and Kevin Huerter as a backcourt, and just take the pressure off of Fox, that would be huge. Get through this first game, get through the Phoenix game. And, you know, again, the Kings only have, I think, 3 games left against teams that are over 500. Maybe that's changed a little bit. Maybe Minnesota has gone to 500. Well, yeah, Minnesota's right at 500. They've got a game against Warriors who are 38 and 36. They've got a game against the Suns who are 38 and 34. and they've got a game at the last game of the season against Denver Nuggets at 49-24. Outside of that, you don't have another game against a team that's over 500. Teams that are at 500, sure, but over 500, you got a Pelicans, you got the Jazz, you got 2 against Portland, one against the Spurs. You got to win these games against sub 500 teams.
Absolutely. We just getting started, man. James Ham is in the building with us right now. When we come back, we're going to shift gears just a little bit because we got a college basketball guru, a college basketball legend in this region, my main man, Coach Brian Katz. He's going to join us. We'll talk a little bit about March Madness, a classic last night between UCLA and Gonzaga, and I'll get his thoughts on the Sacramento Kings as well, man. It's Kenny Caraway, James Ham filling in for Damian Barling. Stilo and KC here on ESPN 1320. Don't know why I said Damian Barling like that. I should have just said D-Lo. I don't know. Bad job on me. I was trying to figure out what I need to do for this thing.
Hey, Jesse, I can't hear Kenny through my ears. I hear him across the room. Am I doing something wrong here?
He's on the phone right now.
Oh, okay. It's not a big deal.
Let's see. What do we do here? 'Cause
I do have the good lighting today. Thank you, Biggie.
Shining bright like a diamond.
Yeah.
Let's see, man.
My hair looks sparkly.
How was there a crowd out there for the G League game?
There was. I was surprised. There, I don't know if it was 1,000 people or maybe a little bit more. They had people there. I guess Stockton crowds have not been good. That's just the nature of the beast. I think that they should play a lot more at Golden One, especially since why not just make them the Natomas Kings or something? I don't know.
Well, you know what I always say. Nobody ever wants to hear me, not from Sac State, nothing like that. Put some games back in Memorial Auditorium.
Oh, is that a thing?
It's not. I'm the only one in the world who seems to think that they should do that. But I remember when Sac State used to play there. They used to play some games at Memorial Auditorium.
Okay.
This was probably in the 90s.
I don't think I've ever been there.
You never been to Memorial Auditorium? I've been there like a handful of times. My graduation was there.
Oh, got it.
There's that. But yeah, Sac State used to play games at Memorial Auditorium. I think obviously like the locker rooms are like dressing rooms for actors. So that was one of the complaints, right? The dressing rooms locker rooms are really small. So that was like one of the reasons why they wouldn't go back there. But Memorial Auditorium has been renovated since. You don't need the Golden One Center. Like I put them in Memorial Auditorium. I think you get a decent crowd for games there. Now, I also don't want to take away from Stockton. They don't have to completely leave Stockton, but just have some games in Memorial Auditorium.
You bring it up. Like, why not Davis? Like Davis does have an arena that makes sense. I mean, they're just really having a tough time drawing there.
Yeah.
And, they do everything in Sacramento at the practice facility, which was crazy. I tell you that, guys, I went out to the practice facility to go pick up my dude.
Recently, since Arco's been knocked
a couple
down?
of days ago.
Oh,
I went out, but I hadn't been out there. I drove out to the practice facility because Uber kept canceling on my guy Ricardo Brias from Portugal. So he's like, I think I'm stuck out here. I don't know how to get back. And I'm like, oh, I'm at the plaza. Like I'm downtown at the arena. I'll just go through and come get you. So I drove out. It was just wild. I'm so used to going to the backside of the practice facility, which you don't really have a good view of Arco. But that was all locked up. So I drove around the front side and, he comes out and I look up and like the roads that drove up to the arena, like around the sides, it just goes up to a giant flat spot of dirt. And it was raining and it's just like wet dirt, just mud sitting up there. And I'm like, holy cow, the arena is completely gone.
Damn.
It's just wild. Like the staircases go to nothing.
That's crazy.
And so to me, it was really eye-opening to drive it. And the parking lot is a mess.
It looks like a mess.
It's just like tall weeds, but also like potholes everywhere. And it's raining. And so the potholes are all filled with water and you're driving around potholes. It really,
they need to do something over there because they about to look like the Pontiac Silverdome.
Yeah,
They
there's
don't
so
get
much land on that corner. It's 200 acres on that corner.
Man. Oh, hold
Yeah.
on one second. Oh, you can hear it. We're back here on D-Lo and KC. And usually when Jesse gives us the sign like, hey, we're back or whatever, I got to tell James, like, hey, James, hold on, we're back. James can hear today because he's in studio.
I can hear.
He can hear Jesse. And yeah, we're locked in this thing. D-Lo and KC. D-Lo out for the day. So James Ham is hanging out with me on this Friday as we get ready for a big weekend for the Kings, man. Kings, Suns tonight at the Golden One Center. Kings, Jazz tomorrow night at the Golden One Center, and then we can go even deeper. They play the Minnesota Timberwolves on Monday. Hopefully, we're like holding out hope. One of these days, probably Monday. I don't think there is a scenario where they can clinch on Saturday. We talked about it yesterday. There's like a clinched-ish type situation that could happen where they're clinched, but it's because they're tied with Minnesota, and Minnesota has the tiebreaker. So you can't say that you clinched because, what if the Kings lose all their games and Minnesota wins all theirs? And there's like 4 teams that have to win all their games or something like that. It's crazy. So, if they were to win tonight and tomorrow night, they essentially would have clinched, but it's clinched-ish. So I don't think it could happen tonight. It would probably be on Monday, but yeah, that's what's in front of them.
I think the real bummer would be if they clinched on Sunday.
That's what I was talking about. So yesterday we were trying to figure this out, right? I was like, because I'm all for the celebration. Kings win tonight against Phoenix and win tomorrow night against the Jazz. That would be the clinched-ish situation, right? And I said, you know what? Let's just party. Let's just rock out. All right, we're here. All right, it's happening. We clinched. Let's just rock out. Or, like you mentioned, because you have to wait for the Timberwolves to play their game, say Minnesota loses on Sunday and you clinch, do we all just converge back down there at Doco and just party at like 8:00 p.m. and say, hey, let's get after it. Let's go. We'll get to all that in a second. I want to talk about some of the craziness that's going on in college basketball. And last night was about as crazy as it gets. And who else would I go to other than my main man? The National Mid-Major Coach of the Year is on the resume. The Region 9 Coach of the Year is on the resume. The Big Sky Coach of the Year is on the resume. My guy, Northern California coaching legend, Coach Brian Katz. Coach Katz, what's up, man?
Well, the interviews start off with an air ball since I can't even figure out how to make the link go, so you guys can get me on the video. So I don't even know why you have me on here.
Don't even worry about that. Coach, first of all, Coach is like sneaky. You guys, if you know, Coach may be one of the most handsome members of the media. He's in the media now because, you see him all the time on CBS 13. He's probably one of, if not the most handsome guy in the media in the region. That's what I would say. I could say that. I mean, that's my guy. Just keeping it real.
Can we move on to basketball? Oh, goodness.
Coach, how you doing, man?
Damian. Help me out, Damian. Help me out.
Damian's off. It's me and James Ham today, man. Damian is, styling and profiling somewhere. Me and my main man, James Ham, talking with Coach Katz, man. How you doing, Coach?
Man, this is fun covering this tournament.
It is. I want to start with that game last night. UCLA Gonzaga. I used an old Yogi Berra line as I was watching that game. I said, it's deja vu all over again. UCLA almost did what they did to Gonzaga. I think it was like 10 years ago when they had that epic comeback against the Adam Morrison team in Oakland in the Sweet 16. They almost did it again. I thought that game was over, Coach. When they were down 3 with 40-something seconds left, and Mick Cronin called for the foul. I said, what are you doing? Why don't you defend, get a stop? It actually worked like a charm because Gonzaga couldn't hit a free throw to save their life at the end of the game. What a finish. UCLA comes all the way back, and then Gonzaga takes it right back with the big-time 3 onions at the end of that game. What's your thoughts about how that game concluded, Coach?
Well, Timmy's a 63% free throw shooter, and that's up from what it was during the year. And then Watson's 57. So I had that written down going in. So that was very strategically planned to foul those guys and treat it like a turnover. And, you kind of like, well, if they make them, fine. But if they don't, percentages are with us. So I thought that was really smart. You got to have guts to do that too. And then on the other end, I actually thought Mark Few really made a good move on the last play. And here's why, whether it went in or out. He clearly, you would conventional wisdom, okay, let's go to Timmy. Let's go to our best guy down low. But he knew he'd been having trouble making free throws. So you know what? Let's bypass all that. Let's go one shot. We win or we lose. Let's dribble handoff, bing, bing, bang, bong, give Strother a chance to hit it. I like it. I thought it was the aggressive play. I thought it was a smart play because, missing free throws is contagious. And it was getting pretty contagious right there.
Yeah. Coach, real quick, James, I know you guys, but Coach, I say all the time with free throws, late in games as big as the NCAA tournament, or if you're talking about, the Bay Valley conference game, I say all the time, yes, you get nervous. Absolutely. Shooting a free throw is so unnatural to like the rest of the game where you're just standing there. You can double dribble. You sit there, nobody's moving. Yes, it's different. You get nervous. I heard Dirk say this, Dirk Nowitzki say this years ago, and he's 100% right. He said, yes, we get nervous. The best players get over that nervousness and get back to their muscle memory and their routine. And that's why they're so good at the free throw line. But it's human nature to feel some type of nerves at that point.
I don't think there's any question. I've always said I believe free throw shooting is 100% mental. And here's why. We've seen guys that are really good shooters that, oh my God, they can't make a free throw. And you've seen guys that aren't great shooters that sometimes they can make free throws. And it's basically very mental, in my opinion. Do they have a routine? And that way they're able to block out all of the noise, the activity, the white noise, and then go along with that. But it's funny, like Timmy's not a bad shooter, but there's clearly a mental thing going on there. Those two were not even close. I mean, they were not close. So anyway,
yeah,
I agree with you though.
When you talk about Timmy, I love watching him play. Like someone, I think it was Mark Spears last night, compared him to Kevin Looney, and I thought that was a weird comparison. He looks a lot more like Luis Scola to me as a pro. And I guess my question, number one, I took Gonzaga to win the whole thing because of Drew Timme, because you have a veteran that you can rely on in the tournament, which is crazy to have a guy who can put up 36 and 14 and who's putting up like close to those numbers almost every night. How far do you think they can go in the tournament is number one. Number two, is he a pro at all? Because, he's not even considered on most draft boards unless it's mid to late second round.
I don't think he is. And it's a little bit like the kid at Purdue, Edey, meaning in the modern NBA, okay, who do they guard? Because you're going to be out on the perimeter because the first thing would happen with Drew Timme in the NBA is they're going to go on ball, pick and pop. All right. So now here you go. Now you got to defend that. And then if you're going to switch that, well, then he's on one. That's not good. The other part that hurts him is he's not a great perimeter shooter. I think for the year he's 3 for 20 from three. He'll have a fantastic pro career overseas, no question. Now, 10 years ago, he might have had a spot in the league. I don't think now. And look, the guy is a fantastic player for college basketball. He's tremendous. But the NBA is different now. We know that. Most guys, they'll get a 5 out there and shoot it, and you can't guard it, and you create a switch, and you're one-on-one with De'Aaron Fox. Well, that's going to be a long night for him.
Yeah, barbecue chicken right there. But you know what, Coach? When you were having some comps, and Luis Scola, I like that one too. And this is kind of the same thing. He kind of a little bit reminds me of Kelly Olynyk with the way that he plays. Kelly Olynyk's a better shooter, and I can't remember if Olynyk was as good of a shooter now as he was coming out of Gonzaga. But maybe that's a role that Timme can fill in the NBA, Coach.
Olynyk's bigger too, though. More of a shot blocker, bigger. I just, and again, I don't want to bag on Timme. I think he's really good. The question real simple, is he a pro? No, I actually think Zach Edey, National Player of the Year, is going to have a hard time. I mean, as big as he is, I think he'll get a chance, but I can't really see it because, again, I don't know who he guards, and he's not going to stretch the D at all. He can't stand out on the perimeter. There's no way. Yeah. But that's the modern NBA. That's the way the game's changed. We all know that. We've been talking about that forever. James, real quick, too, when the tournament started, and I always say this, I've never picked Gonzaga to go very far, and the reason is their league really hurts them. They basically have 16 blowouts a year and then 2 games that are in question. However, this year I went on record, start a tournament, said, this is my favorite Gonzaga team. I will pick them to go the farthest. I actually think it's their best team. And people kind of rolled their eyes, and they said, why? And I said, because they got beat up early. They ate some humble pie. They had to go back and reinvent themselves. And they're entering the tournament as underdogs for the first time in a long time. They have a chip on their shoulder, like everybody doubted us, and they're playing that way. I watched them the last month of the season, and they have defended and rebounded better than ever before. And the knock on them has always been, oh, they're a soft West Coast team. They can score, but they can't defend or rebound. They crushed a very good rebounding team last night on the boards, 50-26, and they held them 10 minutes without a field goal. So, James, my answer is, and this sounds goofy, I went through it and said, okay, what are the teams that have enough talent to win it? I came up with, there was 9 teams that have enough talent. Gonzaga is one of them, and I actually picked them to go further than ever before because of what we just talked about.
Yeah. And, we saw the moxie. I mean, stepping up and drilling a 3 from the logo last night.
That was nasty.
It was nasty, but also you talked about the rebounding advantage. They had already dominated the glass. They had 16 offensive rebounds. So why not? Like, you probably have 2 shots there. So I thought it was a brilliant play to take the easy one from the way deep. Yeah. But yeah, just the moxie of that team. They're fun. And again, I chose them to win the tournament. I don't know if that'll be the case, and I like your, like Zach Edey, even Luka Garza, like that's there's just not a spot for those guys in the league right now. Yeah. And it's a bummer, but it's kind of the way the league's gone.
Yep, for sure. Real quick, Coach, you're listening to ESPN 1320, KIFM, West Sacramento, and Odyssey Station. And D-Lo and Casey is brought to you by Sky River Casino with 17 different restaurants and bars, like my personal favorite, 32 Brew Street. Sky River Casino has something for everybody. Skinny Caraway, James Ham filling in for my main man, D-Lo. We're talking to Coach Brian Katz, the legend, Coach Brian Katz, National Mid-Major Coach of the Year, Region 9 Coach of the Year, and Big Sky Coach of the Year, and future New York, I'm going to just say it, Coach, New York Times award-winning author. All right, that's what I'm going to just say. I'm saying it now, Coach. We're speaking it into existence. It's happening.
I appreciate that. I am writing a book. It's called The Road More Traveled, A Coach's View from the Bench, and it's 10 stories of 10 players that I coached and their journey, their struggle, meaning all the way back to 1989 is the first one, was a junior college player at Lassen College. And my time through junior college and also at Sac State, it's 5 guys in Sac State they're mentioning. For me, I wanted to honor my former players, and I write that in the introduction, and I actually say, hey, I can't write a story about every one of you, but I could, but I can't put it in the book. So I chose the 10, and I've really enjoyed it. And I've had people that have looked at it that have said, this really isn't a basketball book. This is about interpersonal relationships between teammates, parents, your relationship, all the above. I've had other people look at it and say, this is not a how to coach basketball book, but if you want to read it, you could learn how to coach some basketball. And so it's more interpersonal, and it's more, again, I just felt like when I got done coaching, I really wanted to honor my players. I was so proud of the kids I coached and the chance I got to have relationships with them, watch them grow and develop. One of them is a guy like Phil Ritchie, right out of golf, high school, that, to a couple guys when we had 2 all-league guards at Sac State, Dylan Garrity, Mike McKinney, even guys like, I had a kid in junior college named Jesse Satterfield that was just nothing but a role player, but had a fantastic story. So I've had fun doing it. And, we're in the process right now of exploring publishing options, but it's been a blast.
Yeah, I can't wait to read it. And Coach, back to this NCAA tournament, a guy that I got a pretty good feel of the type of coach you are and the type of guys that you like to coach. And a guy like Marcus Noel, that seems like a Coach Katz type of guy. I mean, what he was able to do last night for Kansas State, 20 points, 19 assists, 5 steals, including the game-winning steal. One of the great, I'll say it, Coach, one of the great performances in recent memory in the NCAA tournament. The guy's 5'8", Yeah, a dominant performance from a 5'8" player on both sides of the court last night. I like K-State. I think K-State can go. I like Keldon Johnson as well. Like he's the real deal as well. I think they can go all the way. They got a situation now where they're going up against Florida Atlantic in the Elite Eight. They should be favored to get to the Final Four. But that K-State team, I think they can go all the way, Coach.
They can. They really can. They really defend. And I'll tell you this. Here's what's going to depend on my mind. How bad is his ankle? You know, it's always worse the next day. If he's okay, I give them a very good chance. You're going to laugh. You know what? I heard somebody say this. Mighty Mouse, they thought he reminds them of Damon Stoudemire. Not as explosive, but here's the thing. I'll date myself as I did last night on the show. I have seen, it's one of the two greatest performances I've ever seen in NCAA college basketball. The other one was Bill Walton, 1973. He went 21 for 22 from the field, from the floor in the national tournament game against Memphis to win it all. I think that one is every bit as good. 19 assists, and he dominated at both ends. He had 5 steals. He forced their offense out high. He forced a backcourt violation because they were in fear of him shooting the passing lane. I started watching this a couple games ago, and I went, I have not seen a guy impact the game at both ends of the court, much less his size. Now, if they say he's 5'8", Kenny, you know he's 5'6". You know that. But it doesn't matter. It does not matter. And, here's the one thing, too, and I'll quit rambling. There's a tendency on him to overhelp because you're taught to help on if you overhelp on him, he'll make you pay.
Yeah.
He fires it to the corner of those guys and they can knock him down.
Yeah.
Oh,
absolutely.
Yeah. Like if you're watching what's going to happen here, if you're predicting, like, can anyone stop Alabama? Like
I have it. I do. Good. Yes. I see him losing today to San Diego State. Here's why. San Diego State can get him in the half court. They can keep him in the half court. They can guard him. They have 9. They play 9 deep. They have very, very good depth. They have long shot blockers at the rim. And I've said this all along. I don't love Alabama's offense. It's a lot of ISO, stagnant type ball. San Diego State will be able to lock in and guard them and keep them in the half court. That's how they play. I really believe that San Diego State will beat them today.
I'm gonna be checking for that. I got Alabama winning the national championship, Coach. I had an Alabama UCLA final, so UCLA's out. Maybe Alabama goes out today. I don't know. Coach Katz has spoken. Another team that can get it done and was super impressive yesterday was UConn. I always thought UConn was a really good ball club. They kind of played below where the expectations I have for them throughout the season. But they've come on in this NCAA tournament. And that Arkansas team they played was really good, and they destroyed them yesterday.
UConn, I think they might have the most talent of anybody in the tournament. It's close. Again, getting back to Alabama, the X factor is Miller because he's pro. He's big time. He can get a shot anytime he wants. Sometimes, as we all know, great players can discombobulate everything and all that stuff. But getting back to UConn, I think they have tremendous talent. Here's the thing I like about them best. They can beat you they can win a variety of ways. They can win an up-down game. They can win a power game. They can beat you, attack in a zone. They can press you. They can pressure you. They have extreme depth. And Sinago is a big-time factor down low. And here's the funny part people don't get. That freshman kid off the bench, the 7-footer Klingon, he has 72 blocks on the year. He has more than the other guys, Sinago, and he plays like 18 minutes. So they take Sinago out and they bring Klingon in. And by the way, he's got about like 70 offensive rebounds too. If you do that per minute, it's crazy. But I would say that they are a very good shooting team. They destroy you on the boards. They have 280 more offensive rebounds than their opponents. I mean, they are a very, very, I would 100% agree with you. I think they have as much talent as anybody, and I think they're very capable, and they are peaking at the right time.
I can't wait to see them.
Yeah, this has been a great tournament. Every year it seems like, the bracket busters just get bigger and bigger. I guess I want to ask you about one of the teams that was incredible here in Sacramento, in Princeton. Do you think that they've got a shot here to keep their Cinderella story alive, or are they on the way out?
No, I think this is a coin toss, this game here with Creighton. It really is. They're very similar teams. They're both very solid. Both of them want to play, a very methodical game about the 70s. They both can really shoot it. I don't think there's any question they can win the game. They're both good defensive teams. They're both good scoring teams. Here's the kind of the game within the game to me as I see it tonight. Number 24, can't say his name. I call him Tosan for Princeton. He's a 6'8"-ish. I'll call him a hybrid point forward. He leads their team in assists at 149 to 93. Well, he's going to have to guard Kalkbrenner on the other side for Creighton, who's 7'1" and can really score down low. But Kalkbrenner's going to have to guard him at 15 to 17 feet, which is going to be a problem because this guy, Tosan, can really drive and pass, and they play through him. So the challenge will be which guy can take advantage of which matchup, and can one of the guys get the other one in foul trouble? If they can, then Princeton would be without their primary playmaker, and if they can get Kalkbrenner in foul trouble, then they are without their primary low post scorer. That's Creighton I'm speaking of. So it's a very interesting deal. Now, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. Neither one of them are real foul prone, but I do think they will attack each other. I really believe that. But Princeton's really good. I don't think there's any doubt they can win. Florida
Atlantic is already there, and either Princeton or Creighton, they're all going to be one win away from the Final Four. That's why we love the tournament, right?
Yeah.
Like that's why we love it. Like these teams come out of nowhere and they have these runs, and you get caught up in these runs. Last year it was St. Peter's. St. Peter's, they went to the Elite Eight last year, didn't they? I think it was the Elite Eight. Yeah.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did.
I mean, that's why we check in, man, to see these type of moments.
Oh, I mean, in Florida Atlantic, they're an amazing story. They play 9 guys, no more than 20 minutes a game. They shot 1,000 threes. They flat out, it's spread it, penetrate, and they do something better than anybody I've seen in the country. They penetrate, kick to the open guy, and they always throw an extra pass. Now they're really open, and they have made way more threes than their opposition. And then even though they're small, they absolutely dominate you on the boards because with all the threes, it's long shot, long rebound. As you know, 3-point rebounds don't occur above the rim. They occur somewhere between 12 to 15 to 17 feet. So it just comes down to athleticism and grit and who's going to go after them. They strategically place their guys. They know they're going to shoot those long threes in those spots. So as an example, no one would say, like last night, Tennessee, they're so much bigger, they're going to out-rebound them. Not the way Florida Atlantic plays. Yeah. They got the way they play. Yeah. They are a fun team to watch. And they're 34-3, by the way.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, Coach, real quick before we get out of here, around this time, because I know I miss playing around this time. Do you miss coaching around this time, around tournament time, and seeing all these teams? You miss it at all?
What you do miss the rush of the game for sure. I mean, yes, you do miss that. There's no question. The whole lead up, the prep, all the above, the intricacy of the strategy, and of course the game itself. And look, if you're coaching or playing, you're probably an adrenaline junkie. That's just the way it is. So yes, there's no question. It's but what you miss is being on the end of the guy that makes that on the team that makes the shot at the end. You don't miss being on the other end of it of the team that misses it because it's feast or famine. Oh boy. Yeah.
Well, you're killing it on CBS 13 after these games with our people, Sarah Hodges and my main man, Jake. You're killing it out there. Once again, you are a Northern California legend out here, man. And we love to hear your take on the NCAA tournament and basketball in general. Next time we have you on, we got to talk Kings, man, because it's probably going to be around playoff time, man. So we got to talk to you about that, Coach.
Oh, I love them right now. Where they really are playing well, aren't they? That's a lot. That's a fun thing to watch. Yep. Hey, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Man, it's always a good time to talk to you, Coach, man. Appreciate you taking the time out.
Thanks, Kenny.
All right, take care. Coach Brian Katz, CBS 13, writing a book. Like I said, he's an author. I gotta read that book. I didn't go to his school. He wanted me to go to Delta. I didn't go, so I'm not gonna be in the book. Damn.
Yeah, see, that's your opportunity right there.
That was it right there. I could have been in the New York Times bestseller. I guess I'm gonna have to write my own now. Or James, when you write a book about the Sacramento Kings, just mention me a little bit.
I gotta just name drop you somewhere
that's
along
it.
the
That's all
way
you
in the
gotta do.
forward or something. Name
That's
drop
all-
you.
That's all you got to do. One guy that when you do write your Kings book that you probably will mention is the guy that's going to join us next. The Louis Vuitton Don, Mark Jones, is coming on D-Lo and KC. No D-Lo today. James Ham is filling in, but I'm here. We'll be right back on ESPN 1320.
Yeah, I just saw that.
They said, KD, get back here.
You got to get that win tonight. You're gonna finish it. Finish
Yeah.
it.
They said, KD, I know you're supposed to be out to the playoffs, but get back.
I will purchase his book. I like when I first started this in 2010. My first head coach was Paul Westfall. Paul and I had a great relationship. As soon as the first season was over, we went straight into relocation, like chaos, and the lockout. Right.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
like it was that wild summer where we had the lockout and everything else. So during the lockout, I met with him a couple of times. We would go out to lunch and hang out and just talk basketball for like 2 or 3 hours. He had some of the most incredible stories of all time that I just love to sit there and, you know, go through his stories and all that stuff. He got back into coaching. Well, he got into coaching. He retired in 1984. In the 85-86 season, he went to Southern Baptist Bible School. And his story about that experience would be something that would fit into that book that Coach Katz is writing.
Yeah.
So he got in this situation where they didn't have enough players to field a team and they didn't have team buses or anything else. So they went to school and found a kid who had a station wagon and asked him to join the basketball team because it was super small school.
Yeah.
And so they got this kid who really didn't know how to play basketball very well at all, but he had a station wagon that they could drive to games. And so they got him on the team, and then it ends up being this incredible story where they end up winning their conference, and they only had 6 players on the team. The kid never played. They played just 5 or 6, maybe they had 7 or 8 players. They got 2 guys fouled out. They had to put this kid in the game, in the final game, and the other team kept fouling him because they knew he didn't know how to play, and he ends up hitting the winning free throws.
Wow.
And yeah, it's this incredible story.
Nice stuff, man. Nice stuff. I love basketball stories, man. There's so many stories like that. And if somebody writes a basketball book, man, I'm always intrigued. I always want to copy it and read it because I just love the stories, man.
Yeah.
I love the game. Is that on here? We don't have that on here, do we? Let me see. Because I got the soundboard now, y'all. Hey. We don't need that. Poor Luke, what do you do to earn that? What else we got here?
Oh no, the soundboard.
Let's
Soundboard
see.
Kenny, that's what we'll call him.
Is that honestly? I don't know. Is that a trick question?
Hey, is that a trick question? I don't know.
And that is Terrence Davis?
It's Terrence.
Okay.
Davis.
Yeah. That's fine. I don't even.
You got like a premium Peacock. I thought we got rid of that one. Thought we got rid of that one. There's no need for that.
That's funny.
Oh boy. Days like today, like I want to do the show outside. Like, it really is one of those, like if we had been like sunny and everything for 4 or 5 weeks, I probably wouldn't trip. But it's been raining so much. It's gonna rain again next week. I think Tuesday and Wednesday, and then should chill out a little bit.
I hope so, man.
Are we still in a drought?
I don't know. Do you see like Lake Orville, the pictures before and after? So
No.
like Lake Orville was down to like 3% or something for the last couple of years.
Yeah.
It looked like a creek, and now like 50 feet up on the sides, like the before and after.
I saw something
Crazy.
Something where they had to get rid of water in like Folsom Lake or Folsom Dam or whatever, because
But that's the first time that they've been able to get Folsom Lake up where they can actually use the,
They had to, I forgot
That's
where it was.
crazy.
I think it was from Folsom, but they had to get rid of water because it was too much. So they finally used the dam for whatever they were using it for to get rid of the water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't sell the water out of our lake where I'm at.
Mm.
So it can get a little stale by the end of the year. But we always have a full lake, which is nice.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's real good. I told the missus, I said we should try to go to the snow in the next 1 or 2 Saturdays.
Oh yeah, that's fun.
Try and do that because after that, I got the Kings NBA Finals run. I'm gonna be booked every Saturday for the next 2 months.
The snow seems fine unless you have to drive in it.
I know.
Like I don't want to be
wanna
the guy who
drive.
wants to drive.
No.
Yeah.
It needs to be a day like this so I can drive up to the snow. I don't want to drive in the snow.
Like if I got to put chains on my tire, we're not going.
Yeah, no, we'll stay home. It's good.
Yeah, I grew up in the snow, so like I know how to drive in it and all that stuff.
I've
So
driven in snow once. Oh, here we go. Beautiful Friday day here on D-Lo and KC. James is showing me pictures of what's the Oroville Lake
yeah, Oroville.
and how it used to look. I remember I did see something like a year and a half ago about the Folsom Lake, and you could touch the bottom, like it was dry in some parts of Folsom Lake. And this all came up because during the break, I said, come on, man, we got to be out of the drought now. This is about 3 straight winters of torrential downpours all throughout the winter. I hope we're out of the drought. And I know James would know the answer, so that's why I asked him.
I hope we're out of the drought too. Especially the snowpack is crazy. So there's going to be a ton of snow that comes down over the next couple of months. It means everything's going to be super cold. So if you swim in rivers, just be super cautious because
I don't.
There are a lot of people who do, but just remember that this is going to be snowpack water for probably until June or July. Like there's going to be a lot of super cold water. And that just makes it extra treacherous.
Yeah, be careful out there in them lakes and rivers. You ain't got to worry about me going out there. I might jet ski. I might be on a boat.
You can come out to
I might be on your boat.
the palatial estate.
Yeah, I might be out there, but I'm not swimming. I'm not.
You're not
what do
going
I
in the
look
water.
like swimming in the river. I'll swim in the pool. How about that? I'll swim in the pool. That's perfectly fine.
You can float on the lake. Like we'll give you a noodle and you can go out there and
I don't
float
want
on
to
a
be on a
noodle.
noodle. No, Jesse, don't cut that. I don't want to be on a noodle. Absolutely not. But yeah, this all came about because it's such a beautiful day outside. And I say, I guess we appreciate it a lot more because it's been raining so much lately. And it makes you want to go outside and do what you got to do outside. So one guy that, look, man, he's never in the river. He's never in the river. He's always on a yacht. You know what I'm saying? He's always on a double decker. My main man, the Louis Vuitton Don, Sacramento Kings play-by-play announcer, Mark Jones is in the building. Mark, what's going on, baby?
Hey guys, I know you guys are the real Versace robes and Gucci slides. Don't try and run that Louis Vuitton stuff. You guys are really it. I'm just faking it, man. No, hey. And you're right about the weather, man. I mean, shoot, it's been raining here forever, it feels like. But guys, you know what they say in the spiritual realm, rain is a sign of rebirth and prosperity. So that's what the Kings have been all about this year, right?
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And you were one of the guys that called it early. Mark got at me because I was like, none of you national people were saying the Kings or whatever. Mark was like, I've been saying this since the summer. I was like, Mark, you're not national, but to us, you family. Like I'll be forgetting Mark is national, but absolutely, he's been saying this since the summer. And it's funny. We all got a kick, Mark, out of you doing the Lord's work on that Lakers Suns broadcast the other day. When every opportunity he was talking about the Kings, they were like, yeah, Minnesota is they're 1 game back of 6, but they're 5 games back of the Kings who are in 3rd place. And we love it out here, Mark. We love it. You doing what you got to do, baby.
Yeah. Somebody's got to give them a little perspective because it's funny how still, I feel like a lot of people are still late to the party on Sacramento. And, I'm still hopeful that by the end of the season, there might be some kind of flex in the schedule to get the Kings on ESPN at one point. But, at this point, it's pretty obvious that, you talk about Mike Brown as a coach of the year, the leading candidate, I think. even though, Joe Mazzulla and, guys have done good jobs across the league. But, Fox and Sabonis for all NBA. And, I brought it up with Mark Jackson on our game on Wednesday night against the Lakers and Suns. When you look at the winning context of Sacramento, you have to consider those two guys, Fox and Sabonis, as all NBA candidates. I wouldn't be surprised to see one of them get second team and one of them get third team.
Yeah, I'm with that.
Yeah, Mark, I want to ask you, like, when you got here, you took this job and, the losing happened in year one, the pandemic happened. All of a sudden you're not seeing this fan base. What has it been like for you and your wife to be in Sacramento during this rebirth? And when you're walking around, you're seeing the purple, you're seeing everyone calling out your name, and but also the incredible crowds, which is just something you don't find everywhere in the league.
Listen, I am, and I was a Miami Heat season ticket holder for like 20 years, right? And when the Heat weren't winning, everybody was over on Ocean Drive at the beach, and you would have, 14, 15,000. Last year, during a meaningless Kings game here at Golden One Center in March, when we were well out of the race, I turned around during a commercial and said to Katie, what's going on here? There's like 17,000 people here. What is going on? Are they going to throw us in the playoffs just because the fans are fantastic? Like nothing I've seen or experienced. I mean, I always knew about how passionate they were before I got here, but over the last 2.5 seasons, it's unrivaled. And I'll give you a real life story just a moment ago. Okay, so I'm gonna make a real life confession here on some personal.
We like that. We do that, confessions.
And some self care. I'm in getting a mani and pedi downtown here, just off Capitol, right?
Amen. Yeah.
Do your thing, Mark. Do your thing.
I'm getting out of the chair. This woman says, "Mark Jones, I can't wait for the game tonight. My husband found out you were getting a pedi, and he's on his way over here to say hi to you." I'm like, "Oh boy." I'm glad my feet look good now, because those dogs were pretty ugly before,
I need to be in the chair next, to be honest with you, Mark. I need to get in the chair next.
Yeah, we should do a podcast from the
chair, man.
Yeah,
from
just
the
getting it done.
chair. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm in.
Hey, Mark Jones, play-by-play announcer for the Kings and for the NBA. I mean, you're going to see a lot of Mark in the playoffs because the Kings are in the playoffs, but you're just going to see him everywhere because this is his time of year with the NBA playoffs coming up. Mark, I want to go back real quick because I got Mark Jones's number. I text him time, but he's a busy man. He got a lot of things going on. I try not to bug him. But after that epic 176-175 game, I had to text Mark, and I said, Mark, you were just on the call for a classic. You bodied it. You did phenomenal. Tell me about, you've called a lot of games, NBA finals games, NBA playoff games, college football games, all this other stuff. Was that, for it being a regular season game, was that one of the greatest games you've ever been on the call for? And what was it like just on it for that?
Top 5, easily top 5, guys. That's right up there with an NBA Finals game that I called last year, right up there with Steph Curry's career high at the time, 54-point game at Madison Square Garden. I mean, the shot making in that game was phenomenal. And, I remember Malik's 45. And the one play that will always stick out in my mind from that game was De'Aaron Fox taking PG-13's cornbread and laying the ball in. And I was thinking, he's going to slam it home, but he just laid it in very slowly. And then when he was running back up court, I noticed he didn't have a shoe on. Like, it was such a bizarre night. I'm like, oh my God, Katie, he just did that on a flat tire. It was, people say there's no defense, but I disagree with that. The shot making in this league right now has rendered even very good defense near irrelevant, man. That was just a wild night. And Malik coming off the bench for his 45, and Fox's steals, his defense down the stretch, turning that game around. That will always be a signature game of mine for as long as I do this stuff.
Mark, it seems like this season there are so many signature games from across the league. Is it wild to you to see these? Like, we had that stretch where every night there was like a 50-point game, and then we've seen the 60 to 70. Like, it's just absolutely crazy what we're seeing here with the offenses. You talked about the the offense is like being the shot making, being so good. But like the Kings' defensive woes, they're league wide. Like no one can stop these scores right now.
I agree. I think that playoff time, people are going to be surprised that the adage always is that defense wins championships, and I do believe that at times you're going to have to be able to get stops, but I think those stops are going to have to be timely stops. It won't be a situation where the entire 48 minutes you're holding a team to under 100 points. Those days are long gone. I think like in Sacramento's case, our fourth quarter defensive rating is much better than our overall 25th rating. So they've shown the ability at times to put it together defensively and scheme at the right time to get stops. You think about the last time we played the Clippers and De'Aaron Fox getting that stop on Paul George to end the game. Situations and scenarios like that where if you can have one definitive defensive quarter and succeed defensively for 12 minutes, that's going to be enough, I think, to have your team go pretty deep into the playoffs. I think that's the formula that exists for Sacramento. If we can, have a quarter and a half where we slow down an opponent for just long enough without having to come from behind too far, then that's a good formula. I think it works.
Yeah. Mark, I'll get you out of here on this, man. You talked about De'Aaron Fox, Domantas Sabonis, their candidacy for All-NBA. There's a guy that's probably going to win Coach of the Year. And when you talk about, like, I joke with you about how you were saying this in July about this team making the playoffs. Mike Brown, in his introductory press conference, the famous line, put it on a plaque and put it somewhere in the Golden One Center, put it on a statue. He said, I came here to coach playoff games. Simple as that.
Yeah.
I didn't come here for the regular season. He's talked about it. He's worked at it. He's got these guys to believe in what him and his coaching staff is putting out there, and he's manifested it. Can you just give me a second on Mike Brown and what he's meant to this season?
I think it's genius the way that he has literally spoken victory into this, once more bound franchise. Because, I said it the other day, if people were paying attention, man, and if you watched FIBA basketball at all, right? Mike coached the Nigerian national team. They upset USA basketball's team in Las Vegas that summer. The offense that Mike was running at the time is pretty much the same offense that we're running right now. Mind you, it's different pieces, right? Well, Summer League, a little bit of the same stuff. You got a preview there. Nobody should have been surprised that what the Golden State roadmap provided for Mike Brown offensively was going to work in Sacramento, because he did it twice in Summer League and with the Nigerian national team. Now you supercharge it by adding Fox. You supercharge it by adding Sabonis as your Draymond Green type of facilitator, albeit in a slightly hybrid role. And like I said, 119, 120 points a game, it should have been predictable. And, if we get enough at the defensive end, which I think Mike is still looking for, then I think this team is very capable of going more than one round in the playoffs. And Mike's evolution as a head coach really speaks to this, the success of this franchise. And, I think he's definitely Coach of the Year. No disrespect to anyone else around the league. A lot of guys have done great coaching jobs, but, we've seen in real time what accountability looks like. We've seen in real time what cultural change looks like, him calling quick timeouts and, correcting guys on the floor during a game, Absolutely. That's what it takes. And that hadn't existed here in a long time. And I'm happy for Mike. He should win it.
Absolutely. The Louis Vuitton Don.
Hey, listen, I always say, trust the coach that irons his own shirts before games.
There you go. I like that for sure, man. I know. Hey, look, I know Mark Jones doesn't iron his own shirts, man. It's a Louis Vuitton Don. Mark, next time I'm at the game, man, let the security know I'm okay so I can come say what's up to you, man. Like, he got like three. It's like Floyd Mayweather's security team, man. He got like three guys out there. I just try to get in where I fit in, man.
My guys are a little smaller, man, but they're not that big. But yeah. Thanks for having me, guys.
You did a great job all year long. We can't wait to hear you in the playoffs, and appreciate you giving us a couple minutes, man. Get back to that Manny Petty, big dog. Mark Jones, Kings play-by-play announcer, ESPN play-by-play announcer, simply the best. I love Mark Jones. Man, what a opportunity for Kings fans to have him on the call every night. And not only have him on the call every night, but have him when here in Sacramento, we get really sensitive about the national media and not getting enough attention for what we're doing. This guy makes sure that anything that's going on in Sacramento positively, they know about it on the national broadcast whenever he's on the mic. That's great to have.
Yeah, he's absolutely spectacular. Both like as on the call, like when I'm watching games at home, I'll chuckle like all the time. I'm like, I can't believe he just said that all the time. I like, there's even been times where I like my wife is walking by and I'm like, you got to hear what Mark just said on the call. Like, and he literally, he makes you chuckle like the whole time. I just think, first of all, he came on the happy hour with us and he is so incredibly genuine. Like off the court, he is so genuine. And there was a point, like I told this story before, but we were sitting at the Starbucks there by the arena. My son had come down with me for practice and we had something else to do. So I think my son was going to stay. He might have come in to practice with me, but we see Mark Jones wheel up on a scooter, like an electric scooter with a Louis Vuitton bag. and I told my son, oh, there's Mark Jones. And my son made a comment to me, which I'm not going to repeat now. But anyway, Mark came in, grabbed a Starbucks, and then just pulled up a chair at our table and just sat there and talked to my son like he's just an everyday, like just normal people. Yeah. And he's good people. And I hope people know that around Sacramento, that like he is an original and he's so phenomenal on the call, but he's actually such a good dude. Really good dude.
You know what's great about not only Mark Jones, but Kyle Draper as well. These are two guys from the East Coast who moved to Sacramento to, call these games or whatever. And they're not just working here. They've ingratiated themselves in this city. Mark Jones, I remember he was talking about, it was a tweet or something like that. He's like, yeah, I'm at this farmer's market. I love going here every Saturday morning. Like they're in the city. Like you can see these guys. Draper, I talk to Draper all the time. He's like, man, I was just here at this restaurant, man. We got to go hang out, all this other stuff. They are two guys that are really good at what they do. But not only are they good at what they do, they're not just working here. They've done the groundwork to be a part of the city. And that stuff matters here in Sacramento.
Yeah, it does. Both of them, like their families live here. Mark and his wife live here. Kyle and his family and his two kids live here. They're part of the community. And Mark actually met his wife here in Sacramento at the Olympic trials at Sac State.
Okay.
Many years ago. Yeah. And so him and his wife Sarah, like they're part of the fabric here, and like just good people. And all of Mark's kids are here in California, either at college or out of college now, but that's why they wanted to move out to this side of the country. And it's just been a really good fit. I hope that they're able to travel to all games going forward and not have to do some of the games in studio, because that's really difficult. Yeah. But just a good guy.
Yeah. Absolutely. James Ham filling in for D-Lo here today on D-Lo and KC. I had a question that kind of went crazy. I hadn't even been able to get all of them on Twitter, but there's this whole thing about a King's unpopular opinion that basically you'll stand by, right? Like it's it comes from the meme of the guy from Tangled sitting there and he's smug and he's got his smirk on his face while there's like 80 swords in his face of all his enemies, all his ops ready to, capture him or whatever. And my unpopular or possibly unpopular opinion is that the Kings don't need to be better on defense to make it to the NBA Finals. Well, there was so many questions or so many responses to this, and I just want to go over a couple of these and get your thoughts on them. And it had no kind of like there were no restrictions on it. It could be an all-time Kings opinion. It could be this team. It could be whatever. It was just Kings opinion. And one that really kind of caught my eye was my guy, Jesse Rosales on Twitter. That's my guy, Bo. He hit me with one where I was like, damn, I gotta ask James about this one. He said Keegan Murray can be just as good as Peja. Ooh, we talking now. We talking, Jesse. Well, James, Jesse, what you think about Keegan Murray can be just as good as Peja?
I think he's got that potential, but I mean, I don't know. I'm not gonna call Keegan like I can't.
I know,
I can't
that's
say
tough.
Peja
That's
eventually.
tough to say that one, James.
Wow.
Like I kind of see it. Like I'm not gonna go there yet, like Jesse, but I do kind of see it. Like Keegan's a lot better than I realized. Like I thought he was good. He's a lot better, and he has a lot of room to grow with what he can do off the bounce, just being more comfortable. Do you remember Page's rookie year when he finally came over?
Yes.
Did he look about like this, or maybe even worse?
You know, I'd have to look up what he averaged per game. I think it was closer to like, he didn't have a great rookie season, but you saw it instantly. He also was splitting time with Corliss, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I'd have to look up his raw numbers. The game has changed so much that, you know, like I don't hate that comp. I don't I don't know that there will be a time where Keegan has what the one season where Peja averaged, like it was off the charts. Like
a borderline MVP season, huh?
Well, he was an MVP candidate.
He was like third. Didn't he finish third in the voting or something like that?
Third or fourth. But yeah, he's a guy that, you know, actually I have his stats. What did he do his rookie season? 8.4 points, 37.8% from the field, 32% from three. Like, look, the game has changed so much since that point. And I've told you guys this. When Peja retired, he was third all time in 3-point makes. He's now like 24th. And that's just a span of, you know, we're talking like 12 years since he retired. It's wild how the game has changed. And I think Peja's play opened the door for guys like Keegan, where especially early in your career, you can come in and just shoot from the perimeter. And then we'll get to the other stuff down the road. We'll start adding more and more to your plate. And I think that's one of the blessings of the Kings being so good this year, is that they have been able to, like, while he's playing 30 minutes a night, they've been able to bring Keegan along slowly as sort of his responsibilities. Like when he's not rebounding enough, you can demand more from him, and he's responded. But overall, like, we're seeing a kid who will, like, barring some strange turn of events, he will hold the record for the most 3-point makes in NBA history as a rookie. Like I think he's 12 away from Donovan Mitchell's 187. And with 10 games left, he should get there. But
get there this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely crazy what he's been able to accomplish as a rookie, but as really like a 5th or 6th or 7th option on the Kings. And there will come a point where he'll have a lot more responsibilities. But will he ever get to the one season Peja averaged 24.2?
The ceiling. I don't know if he gets to the ceiling of Peja, because Peja was a bad man before he had to leave and the injuries and stuff like that. But he was MVP. We said it, MVP candidate.
Yeah, MVP award shares in the 2003-04 season when the Kings won a ton of games without Chris Webber. And then he came back late in the season. He was 4th. Yeah, I mean, we're talking about a guy who, you know, I think was all NBA a couple of times. But I'm not going to say that Keegan doesn't have that potential. And I'll also tell you this, the Kings believe he does. The Kings fully believe that he'll be that good. They believe that he in his career will be better than what we're seeing from Lauri Markkanen this year. And so there is that, like, if your franchise believes that you can be that, that does actually matter, because they're going to allow that to be a potential thing that happens. But for the next couple of years, he's going to be a third option behind Fox and Sabonis. I think next year we'll see it. He'll be the number 2 option. I mean, the number 3 offensive option on this team. And, you know, if you have injuries or you have players move on or whatever, like, there's potential for him to be a 2 or 3, 1, 2, 3 scorer on a team.
Now I want to go over a couple more of these, because they got some bold takes. They got some crazy takes.
All right.
They got some good take. I want to go over some more of these, some of the responses I've been getting back. Also, if you want to call in, we don't have any guests until we got Lina Washington coming on at 3. If you want to call in and give your unpopular opinion that you will say with your chest, say it on wax, man. 916-909-1320. Call in. It's myself, Kenny Caraway, James Ham filling in for D-Lo. ESPN 1320, D-Lo and KC. We'll be right back. All good. I like that one, Rory. That's not bad, man. I know Keegan is a taller Clay. Clay's one of the greatest shooting guards of all time. So I don't want to be disrespectful to Clay, but that's not the worst comp in the world. Maybe a great value, Klay Thompson.
Yeah, like I don't know why, like he can average well over 20 a game. Like I don't think it's even that difficult to see. Like there are plenty of times this season where you're like, okay, I see it. You know, whether it's like a Middleton comp, I like the Middleton comp, but I think it's different because the Kings are going to have Fox with him the whole time. Hopefully, they will have Sabonis with him for like the next 5 years.
Right.
Like if that's your 3, that's pretty stout, especially because they're so different, all 3 of them. You got your center of the universe big, your lightning quick guard, and your elite shooting small forward or power forward.
One of the things that I think about with this team, and there's a lot of things on the table because of what they were able to do and what they were able to show this year. Maybe you do what you can to trade this year's pick to accomplish something. Now, I know they got things they'd have to work out with Atlanta or it could be one of those
they can
things.
trade it after
Exactly.
they make the selection.
That's what
they can
we
make
talked
the
about the other
selection
day.
for
That's
somebody.
what Cleveland did with Abaji. They selected him, and then he was part of the Donovan Mitchell deal.
Yeah.
So
You
like
definitely can make the pick and then trade it a few days later.
Right.
Yeah.
But I say all that to say, I think about, man, this draft, this first round is so deep. What if they hit on like 23? And I don't like hit could mean anything. It could mean a good role player. It could mean they find a starter, possible all-star. Like that's how good I think this potential draft is in the first round.
Yeah, and I'll tell you too, it's when you're trying to build a team, right? And you're trying to game plan for a team. Like that you're paying Fox, that you're paying Sabonis, and you have a really good idea that you're at some point going to pay Keegan Murray. The fact that you have Kevin Huerter locked in on a reasonable contract for a while, that you've got Malik Monk this year next, those things matter. And then you really do need to like attack weaknesses and try to hit with those. If you're in the 20s, you got to hit with those with whether it's a 4 or 5 combo that can like 3 and D guy, because those guys are out there at that range. Whether it's like a Herb Jones 3-4 combo, like that's a really good opportunity where we're so used to the Kings having to swing for the fences and go for talent as far as like that's the premium, right? And your top, anytime you're drafting in the lottery, it should be about best player available. Well, when you get to 22, 23, 24, 25, that's where you start looking at needs more than you do best player available. Yeah.
I'm very intrigued with what happens with this draft pick in this draft, because this is, like I said, you could either be drafting somebody that is really, really good in a stacked draft, or it's a stacked draft and you can use that to parlay that into an established vet that can change the fortunes of your franchise. So I think Cleveland traded Abaji, Colin Sexton. I don't think the Kings have a Colin Sexton type. I mean, some people might put Davion there. I'm not willing to move on from Davion yet, but Abaji, Colin Sexton, Walker Kessler.
Yeah, that pick was in there.
Is he a first rounder or a second rounder?
No, he's first rounder.
First rounder.
Around the position we're talking about.
Oh, here we go. I keep telling you we're coming back like you can't hear Jesse. I don't know. It's a bad habit of mine, James Ham. D-Lo and KC, man. My main man, James Ham, filling in for D-Lo today. Having a lot of fun, man. Having a lot of fun on this Friday. The Kings are taking on the Phoenix Suns at the Golden One Center tonight. They've got a back-to-back. Wow. I mean, geez, thank you, NBA. It seemed like they got a back-to-back every game for the rest of the season. It's almost like, right? They got this. Well, they had one the other day with Utah and Boston. Got one tonight, Phoenix and Utah. And then they have one more. They have one more, right, with New Orleans and Dallas?
Yeah.
I think that's a back-to-back.
I think so. Yeah, this is what happens when you're a historically bad team. You get a historically bad schedule. And the hope is like, look, if you can not only be a playoff team, but you can keep pushing and get better and better and better here in the final 10 games. Maybe you get a little bit better schedule next season. You certainly would get more national TV games, hopefully.
Yeah.
But also, I think you would just kind of put yourself on the map. And it's really hard for West Coast teams. Like both coasts are very difficult. It's the teams in the middle that get a much better schedule because their travel isn't nearly as bad. So I've talked about this with Zebo. Zebo was like, what is happening? It's like, well, it's a big difference when you're flying to the East Coast from Memphis and when you're flying to the West Coast from Memphis than it is when you're going back and forth between the two sides.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still crazy. The Kings played the Knicks at 7:00 at night here. I get tipped off at 10:00 in New York.
Yeah.
That's just wild.
Yeah.
That's absolutely crazy. So yeah, I think that the schedule should improve slightly next season, and they should have plenty more national televised games.
I sure hope so. Damian believes that the Kings are getting a Christmas Day game. I think they might. I think they might. They might. I don't know if they're going to do it, but they need to get Dallas off of there. We don't need to see crying Luka and the average Mavs on Christmas Day.
But you're going to.
Oh my gosh! Goodness gracious! The Mavs are going to be 4 games under 500 on Christmas Day next year, and we got to see them. With Luka crying, giving the money sign, he got fined for that, as he should.
What, $35K?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's a big one.
Yeah. So I mean, come on, man. What are you doing? Money saying the guy got paid off.
Yeah, that was a questionable decision by Luka.
And he says it after he smoked a 1-foot layup. Like, they need to be doing the money sign to you, Luka. Did you throw the game missing that 1-foot that 1-foot layup?
That's funny.
That's what you need to be doing. Real quick, what did you think about the controversial out of bounds play the other day?
I got to be honest, I missed it.
Yeah.
Like I was busy doing other things and I missed the play, and it's been so talked about and I haven't found it. Like I haven't gone in and looked, but it's got to be fair. That's all. I think that's all anyone wants, right? Like as long as you call a game both ways. So we get to the Boston game the other night, just to break down the Boston game. That was just not called the same way on both ends of the court. And I don't care. Like, again, Jason Tatum is difficult to defend and all that stuff. I don't buy it. Like the 4 fouls in the final 25 seconds of the first half, it changed the complexity of the game. It changed everything in that game. It went from being a highly competitive game to not highly competitive at all in the third quarter. And I don't want to blame it all on the officiating, but they kept messing with the flow of the game. And then the thing that kills me, and it's so frustrating, is when they square up the foul totals in the fourth quarter when the game's over. They start calling a bunch of ticky-tack stuff when the game is over, so it doesn't look so unbalanced on the final box score. And to me, it's so easy to spot. It's so egregious that you're like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And it's something that has, like, again, you cover a bad team, you see a lot of bad nights, right, for the officials. And there are some officials that either should be demoted, which the league is claiming they did not demote. What's his name?
Ben
Taylor.
Yeah.
Ben Taylor. They're saying they did not demote Ben Taylor, even though like the sort of the referee like like what assignments he gets shows that maybe they did, which Tom Haberstroh like broke that down. I don't know if anyone, my friend Tom Haberstroh that used to work with me at NBC, like all of a sudden 4 out of the last 5 games, he's no longer the crew chief. So that's one way, but like we've watched Tony Brothers call a game and it's like, why? I don't understand. Like if you can't call something basic in front of you, like either it's intentional or it's incompetence or it's something, but it's not refereeing. So when you're watching it play out on the court and you're just the Paul George travel was so egregious right in front of him that there's no excuse. Like he needs to be suspended for a game for missing something so blatant and for making an excuse for it.
Right.
Like it was so egregious. So for me, like the officiating has to be better, but the Kings aren't going to get the calls. Like how many times does Domantas Sabonis get hit in the head? Well, anytime a player's hit in the head, it's supposed to be reviewed for a potential flagrant foul.
Right.
Like you're not supposed to hit players in the head. We have a drinking game in Sacramento. Every time Sabonis gets hit in the head, which is every game and sometimes 3 times a game, you know, people are getting drunk in Sacramento watching Sabonis play. And the officials aren't calling any of them and they're not reviewing them.
Right.
So that to me is where, like, again, the Boston is a better team than the Kings.
Yeah.
And Jason Tatum's an incredible player. Jason Tatum doesn't need 5 extra trips to the line on nothing foul calls.
Right. Right. No, I agree 100% with that game, on everything you said about the game on Tuesday in particular. That whole Mavs thing, you haven't seen it. It is 100% the Mavs' fault. Like, I have no problem talking about how horrendous the referees are. They did nothing wrong in this situation. The Mavs weren't paying attention. They have a coach who isn't paying attention, and their PA announcer messed up. That was 100. If you're paying attention to what's going on, it's clear as day it was supposed to be the Warriors' ball. If you're not paying attention, you can act like you got duped, which is what Mark Cuban and Jason Kidd and the Mavs are doing. It's all their fault.
The Mark Cuban thing is crazy too. Like sitting with their beat writers or talking to their beat writers. Like he texts those people. He texts those people in game. Like
he texts the beat writers or the
oh yeah. Yeah. No, he has no problem reaching out to media members and saying like what exactly happened there. Or so like I've talked about this. I'm the pool reporter for about half the games here in Sacramento. I've never had to go and actually do the pool report, which is weird. But like anytime there's something egregious that happens on the court, a media member can trigger the pool report. And so basically that means that they call the NBA or they call me or they call PR and they say, hey, we'd like to trigger the pool report. And this is a question we want asked. And this is a follow-up question. And so, or they can say, this is a question that we want asked. And then I can submit the follow-up question as well. And so there's a scenario in which I would have to go into a different room and I'm on a video call with the official and I ask him the question that another media member has sent in to me, and then he can answer it. And then I can ask a follow-up, but it's very specific based on that play only. And so, but there hasn't been that many times. So we talk about like the Trey Lyles situation where he starts choking out Brooke Lopez, right? Well, that's not something like we know what happened. Like there's no question. There was a weird one with, when Robert Covington was in Portland and he was wearing a mask and got angry and threw his mask off and hit an official and was automatically ejected from the game for hitting an official with his mask. It was not intentional, but there is no like gray area. Like, oops, I didn't mean to. That doesn't count. When you hit an official with a projectile. That could have been one of those pool report moments, but everyone kind of understood what happened. And by having conversations with people that were down on the court, it was very clear. And so there was no pool report. So there is a mechanism in place, but like, I can't go to we can't initiate the pool report when someone was bad for an entire game.
Right.
Like, was this a one-sided thing? That's not the question that has to be asked. It has to be very specific about a very specific play. Maybe when Bradley Beal popped Sabonis in the head with an elbow, that should have been questioned why that wasn't. But again, you're asking about something that an official would have to go back and review.
Yeah, that kind of reminds me of when you talk about Robert Covington. But when Steph Curry earlier this year got thrown out of the game for throwing his mouthpiece, he threw it into the ground. It goes off the court, but he threw it because he was mad at a shot Jordan Poole took. Jordan Poole took a shot out of the offense. Steph Curry got mad, threw his mouthpiece, and it goes off the court. Not like deep into the stands, but it goes off the court. And the ref said, I got to take you and throw you out of the game. You can't throw objects off the court. And he's like, I wasn't even saying nothing to you. He's like, yeah, but you can't do that.
Yeah, and we had that situation years ago with and who is the Turkish player who's changed his name now?
Enes Kanter.
Enes Kanter. Yeah. Where I believe it was Enes Kanter, took his mouthpiece out and threw it, chucked it into the stands, and a fan actually like picked it up and held it up in the air, and was like, bro,
those are your boys in Boston.
What are you doing?
Those are your boys, man.
I was saying Boston, they denounce Enes Kanter all the time. He's not with us.
Yeah. You're like, why are you grabbing the mouthpiece like covered in saliva off the ground and holding it up in the air? So yeah, there are those moments that are completely egregious and like basically a guy's instantly tossed.
Yeah.
And on occasion those get sent to the pool report, but it's pretty self-explanatory. I think the ones that we're talking about are like very weird situational things that happen at the end of a game or something. And at the same time, I'm like running down to go get to the coach's press conference or the player's press conference, and I have to be diverted in this situation to a different room to go interview as a pool reporter, the official. And like, it's just a weird system.
Yeah. Two things on refs real quick, though. I got to say this. You're listening to ESPN 1320, KIFM, West Sacramento, and Odyssey Station. D-Lo and KC, brought to you by Sky River Casino with 17 different restaurants and bars, like my favorite, 32 Brew Street, where we had the live show last week. You have something for everyone at Sky River Casino. Go check them out whenever. I might go to Sky River tonight. I'm not going to lie to you. I might go tonight. Friday night.
I'm going to go to a Kings game, but if not, I would consider it because that was a good time. That's a like nice spot. I like
absolutely. Absolutely. I wish I was going to the Kings game, but I gotta pick some games here because I have to go to 2 of these next 3 games. So since they're not clinching tonight, I'll hold off tonight. I'll put my bid in at the Caraway Estate for tomorrow, and then hopefully they're clinching on Monday. I got to be there on clinch day. So hopefully maybe they're clinched. Remember, like I said, clinched-ish tomorrow night, possibly, hopefully, maybe. But 2 things on the referees. Like I've always said, maybe I'm a softie, maybe I'm, giving them a pass. But if they were to allow these guys to speak and give them 15 minutes to see a controversial call or something like that before they talk to reporters or anybody like that, not a pool reporter situation, have them in front of a camera, have the microphone in front of them. Hey, this call in the fourth quarter, it was called a foul. It looked like there was no contact. What did you see? For me, if that happens and Tony Brothers comes up there and says, you know what? I looked at the play while it was going on. Looked like he got hit on his elbow. I looked at it afterwards. He didn't. I missed it. I got it wrong. I thought it was the right call at the time. I got it wrong. After looking at it, I wouldn't say anything. They're human beings, right? You're not going to get every call perfectly right. I would, me personally, I would leave them alone. I'd be like, come on, man, you can't miss that call. But I wouldn't, it's okay to say, hey, I got it wrong, man. I messed up. I thought I saw it one way and it actually happened another way. That's understandable. They don't do that, right? They hide behind this Twitter account. They hide behind the pool reporter thing. You can't talk to the refs. They're always so damn smug, even when they're dead wrong. They could be dead wrong with the call, and they want to yell at the player and tee them up and all this other stuff. It's all bad. They need to let them talk. So that's number 1. Number 2, why is Scott Foster continually reffing Chris Paul games?
Yeah.
This is very bizarre. It's clear they got an issue. Scott Foster, now that we like kind of peel back the onion on him a little bit, he may need like counseling. He takes damn near everything personal. The way he handled Scotty Barnes the other day, clearly the way he handles Chris Paul every time. He's supposed to be an impartial guy that calls the game as he sees it. Clearly he brings personal vendettas into his decision-making. Number one, why he's allowed to still ref the highest profile games in the league is an issue. Number two, he can't he can't ref Chris Paul games. He clearly has an issue with Chris Paul.
Yeah, I mean, I get it because I mean, Scott Foster once threw DeMarcus Cousins out during halftime of a game. Like during halftime, he threw him out during halftime. Now,
how did that happen?
That's not to say that Cousins didn't go over and say something to him at halftime as they were walking off the court and heading to the locker room. So, I mean, there clearly was a bigger issue there about like teammates or coaches or security making sure that DeMarcus just went straight to the locker room.
Yeah.
But like it's been a problem for a long time. You know, we can go back to like Joey Crawford, like he had personal things with it seemed like with specific players, and there are certain games that just. But like I'd even make the argument: what if Scott Foster just doesn't buy the crap that Chris Paul pulls? Because we all know that Chris Paul does a bunch of ridiculous things all game long. What if he's just like someone who's like, okay, man, like I'm not giving you the benefit of the doubt. I believe you flopped right there, and I'm not going to give you the benefit of the doubt. And so there's a possibility that in some of these situations where Scott Foster isn't wrong, where DeMarcus Cousins deserve to be thrown out at halftime. Like they're legitimate, you know, situations where that's the case. I don't know that you can take one referee out of one game and say that's not going to happen anymore, because then you're messing with
Ben Taylor.
Yeah. Then you're messing with the balance of fairness though. And Ben Taylor, like there's people that don't like him around the league as well.
Yeah.
Like who is it that Fox and
Mark Davis or is
Rasay,
it somebody else?
Is it Mark Davis or is it Zach Zarba?
Might be Zach Zarba.
Yeah, one of them. Like there are like these weird beefs that you have. You got to squash all that stuff. I'll tell you that Tyrese Halliburton would walk up to the scorer's table before every game, look at the chart again, and make sure he knew exactly who was calling the game, and walk out and shake hands with each of them, call them by their first name, have a conversation with them, and go on to play. And like, is he a guy that does weird stuff that flops all the time and all that? No, he's not. But still, there is a certain amount of respect that you have to have for these guys. And, you know, again, we had this conversation on the happy hour last night with Sam Amick, and Sam brought up the point that, you know, that there are certain officials that do go over to a coach and say, hey, look, I went back at halftime and I watched the footage and I was wrong. My bad. Sorry. There's nothing I can do about it now, but I was wrong. And so
Sabonis had that moment the other night against Boston. He thought there was a bad call or whatever the case may be. I think it was on the Marcus. Yeah, it was on a Marcus Smart, one of the ones at the half.
Oh, yeah.
And
the hook.
And Marcus hooked him or whatever. Sabonis got called for the foul. And he went over to the ref. He's like, there's nothing I can do about it now. Please look at that at the half. Please look at it.
Yeah.
And that was it.
But did the ref come back afterwards and say, hey,
maybe,
my bad?
Hopefully.
And maybe like in the back of their head, they're like, we're going to give you one. Because I can remember late in that game when Sabonis was still in the game, clearly fouled somebody on a dunk, smacked him on a dunk and did not get called. And it was like, oh, that was a clear foul. I'm not quite sure what happened there. And so there's on occasion where you do get like my bads, you know, the gimmies.
Yeah.
And, you know, on occasion, I think that happens. But it just has to be straight up across the board. You're there to officiate. Like it's supposed to be balanced and fair and every single night.
That's what I was going to say.
And we shouldn't have makeup calls all the time. But we know they're out there.
But even with that, like how you talk about how Tyrese Halliburton did what he did, that shouldn't have to happen for you to call the game the right way. It shouldn't have to happen. Like you, as an official, I look at you, you should be above reproach. You know what I mean? Like regardless if this guy's on your head the whole time or flopping the whole time, you shouldn't, like the way the respect. You talk about respect. Scott Foster, the way he talked to Scotty Barnes the other, hey, who the hell are you, Scott Foster?
Yeah.
Who the hell are you to talk to another grown man like that? And those are the type of things where it's like I don't know who the ref was, but what he did to Terrence Mann the other day when he gave 3 technicals in 7 seconds, gave one to Kawhi, gave 2 to Terrence Mann and threw him out.
Oof.
Like, woo, and there was the way, the demonstrative nature that he did it. Like, I expect them to be above reproach in these situations. That's part of the job. If you can't not have personal biases or not be able to control your temper, you ask the players to control their temper so they don't get a technical foul, but you can talk to them however you want to, and you can handle the situation however you want to. Nah, that's not good enough. I think there needs to be dialogue that goes on from the players to the referees, but I also think the referees need to have a certain level of dialogue. Somebody coming back to them, hey, Julius Randle had a situation last night where he was completely wrong. But Julius, look, I'm talking to you right now. I can tell you what I saw, but if you're yelling at me, we just need to go our separate ways. And we can come back later and we can talk about this. It's not you can't talk to me at all, or if you're yelling, I'm gonna tell you. I just think they use the technical thing way too loosely. Like I think there is room for a dialogue between the two. And it probably happens more than we realize, but I think there is room for dialogue out there between the two.
Well, I'll tell you this. I think that there are certainly situations where I'm frustrated that they're not calling technicals. Like, I don't want to watch, like, Draymond Green is yelling and screaming at an official the entire game. And so what they have is a baseline for him that's way higher than any other player. Luka, same thing. His baseline is so high for what constitutes a technical. And then you have a game where Harrison Barnes went up and dunked and flexed and gets called for a T, and you're like, man, first of all, the guy hasn't been called for a technical since his rookie season 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And he had 2. Like, he's not that guy. But also, we watch a player on the other team who's yapping at you the whole game. Like, why do we have different sort of, like, again, the baseline for each? There should be only one baseline.
I agree.
And the talking and all that stuff, it's got to stop. And so I don't blame people for teeing up Chris Paul. I don't blame people for teeing up Draymond or Luka. My question is, why aren't they teed up more? Why don't you stop that chatter?
I'll contradict myself and say I agree with those things.
Because I don't want that.
Yeah, I agree with those. But I'll say this, though, with that, is when they do it the first time, it should be, kind of acknowledged. Like, Dre, you're doing too much. Like, we can talk, but you're not going to talk to me like that.
Yep.
All right. I'm going to give you that opportunity to know that's where I'm at. And if it happens again, I'm going to have to tee you up. But number one, with somebody like Draymond and Luka, and I mean, Draymond's in suspension land, so it happens enough. But
so is Luka. Luka's at 16.
He's at 16 now?
Yeah. He got they called that a flagrant. I mean, they called that a technical after the fact.
Okay.
The money sign, so that put him at 16. Next game, he's suspended. Yeah. And, like, look, we shouldn't have to get to a point where 10 games into a season, you're starting to decide whether a team is going to make the playoffs or not because their star player can't stay on the court because of technicals. And for me, like Draymond thought he was going to be able to play, that his suspension he just went out and said, oh yeah, well, this
guy threw the ball at Russell Westbrook's face and it's like, I don't get rescinded.
Oh no, that's getting rescinded. I'll be out there next game. And then sure enough, he's not. And it's like what? And then you got other guys who are like, okay, I don't know. Like Trey Lyles gets double teched and suspended for a game. And you're like, man, that dude's got 17 or 18 technicals. He's been suspended for a couple of games because of technicals. I get a little crazy with Brook Lopez one time and grab a throat and I'm out for a game. It's all weird.
Yeah, it is. I didn't mean to get a tangent on the referees, but
yeah, we just killed a good 15 minutes of the show there. That's good. It's fine.
Referees got to be better. I will say that. More of the story, they have to be better.
Yeah.
Scott Foster, I'm starting not to like that guy. At least from what I see on TV, he could be a great family man or whatever. He does way too much on the court in a bad way.
I mean, Joey Crawford basically did like he would do like the Leslie Nielsen from Naked Gun, where he's dancing behind home plate and doing the splits and flipping around. I mean, Joey Crawford thought he was like performance art, like, so I kind of miss it, right?
I agree with you. I kind of like Joey. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, it was like he told you how hard the foul was. Like, yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it was wild watching Joey Crawford. I mean, good for him. It's a tough job, man. I don't want that job. I would never ref like high school or
no, I wouldn't ref those. I'd ref in the NBA. They get paid. I'd ref in the NBA.
Yeah, I guess, but you gotta work your way up. Like how many times have we seen?
I don't want to work
crazy
my way
things
up.
on the sidelines of
I
football.
want to start right at the NBA. I don't want to coach. I don't want to ref AAU, high school, none of that. Start me right at the NBA, or I'm not doing it.
All right. I umpired little league games when I was young. You made the like $10 per game or $12 per game.
Yeah, not enough.
Oh no, it wasn't fun. I mean,
Not
there
enough.
you are, like 13 years old, and you're doing like a U9 game, and you got some parent yelling over your shoulder about you missing calls. And the rich kids have like 4 pitches, and the other team has like the kid just tries to throw it and get it over the plate.
Yeah.
And one team is always stacked, and the other team is always, like it's so egregious. Like at all times, you're like, okay, this doesn't even, again, like a kid's sitting there shaking off pitches. He's 9 years old. You're like, what is happening? The other kid like can barely get a strike over, can barely get a ball to the plate.
Shout out to opening day at Laguna Youth Baseball. Shout out to the Rangers. That's why I got my hat on today.
There you
Reese's on the
go.
Rangers. We doing work today, man, and we doing work when we come back here on D-Lo and KC. James Ham filling in for D-Lo. We'll be right back on ESPN 1320. I got to do my Joey Crawford is how he would call the block car.
I covered a bunch of games with Dick Bavetta. A lot of games with Dick Bavetta. Like
the young goat.
Yeah, but again, talk about a guy who
he's not the young goat. He's the old goat.
Why some of the things happened in Game 6 or in that whole entire King series. They put on Dick Bavetta that he was a company man. So yeah, I don't know.
Oh, let's go. Absolutely. About this LSU Utah women's game is turning. Angel Reese. Damn. First 2 rounds of the tournament, she's averaging like 29 and 19.
Oh.
She's a problem in a good way. No 13 round Ramsey. Y'all know what I feel about the fight on Saturday. David Benavidez, Caleb Plant is some great stuff. I didn't even get a chance to see it because we've been doing so much. I'm sure they had to weigh in already. That's gonna be a really good fight. Really good fight. Cannot wait. James, did you ever like boxing?
Oh, I love boxing when I was a kid. Yeah, I don't like MMA. Yeah, I'm just not an MMA like, especially like when it's playing at a restaurant. Like you're trying to eat food and
yeah, you got somebody's ear half off there.
Yeah. 2 ladies beating the living tar out of each other, and like
well, to me, obviously, I always thought it's the potential for broken bones that I don't like.
Yeah, that and just like the bloodied faces. Yeah. Like I don't want that while I'm having dinner. So
I'm looking at it now. Benavidez Plant had to be separated at the face-off. Woo. Let's go.
Is there a bigger fight between this and Ryan Garcia and Davis, or is this just this one and then that's next?
Well, there's rumors that Spence and Crawford are happening in June. I don't believe it, but I mean, if you get,
between this time though.
Oh no, absolutely not. This is a big month stretch here, with this fight going on, and then you get Davis and Ryan.
Is Haney fighting Lomachenko?
He is. He's fighting him in May, I think.
Okay.
May 20. That's a big time fight. Boxing is cooking. If they could find a way to get Spence Crawford, it'd be about as good a half a year in boxing as we've seen in 15, 20 years. Because this Benavidez Plant fan, this is some real stuff. They got real heat. I almost want to see these guys fight 3 times.
I told you the first time I won a bet was the Larry Holmes, Jerry Coons fight. And like, was that like 80, 83, 84? My uncle bet me $10 and I told him Larry Holmes was going to crush. And he did. And I got my $10.
Larry Holmes, one of the most underrated fighters in the history of boxing.
Yeah, he was really, really good. He just
Really
wasn't
good.
flashy.
No.
Yeah.
No, but he's an all-timer.
I in my bar I have the Sports Illustrated from it. Yeah.
Got to get to the bar too, man.
You can find everything on the internet.
Jay Hardaway, stop, bro, stop. Jay Hardaway always stop. Jay Hardaway, you always talking crazy. I don't think that fight happens, by the way. Spence and Crawford. Ramsey. Ramsey a funny dude, man. Ramsey a funny dude.
I like the Chatty House. I like you guys. It's fun.
No, the Chatty House they are fun. We disagree from time to time on a number of different things, but
yeah,
they're good people, and they've shown this show so much love from the start, man. I've appreciated so much.
Yeah, I feel the same like with the Kings Beat when we do the happy hours and you see people that have been to all the happy hours and stuff.
Oh, here we go. Okay. D-Lo and KC, James Ham sitting in with your boy Kenny Caraway as D-Lo is out for the day. We're having a good time getting ready for a big weekend for the Sacramento Kings. 2 home games, getting closer and closer and closer to finally clinching, finally ending the drought. Damn. I thought it was going to happen, but I didn't think it was going to happen, right? Like now that we're here, it's like, damn, it's really going down that way. I don't even know how to react. So they're almost there. It's going to be good times. Before we get back into the Kings, and I wanted to get more into those unpopular opinion things. Before we get into that, come on, man. We got to talk to our guy all the way out in New Jersey, Jersey City, maybe Brick City. It's my main man, Mitch. What's up, Mitch?
Casey the Sunshine. Mr. Ham, how you guys doing?
Good, man. What's up with you?
I can go by Sunshine. There we go.
I guess that most of the time the sun shines out there in the West Coast.
Yeah,
LA had
got
more
some sun now.
Oh, it's pretty good. It's been decent. I guess you're a bit of a hyper there. You could be a point guard or a shooting guard. Now you're doing point talk show host. You made a little analogy there.
I see you working,
and
Mitch.
I see you haven't spoken too much about the Giants. I guess the Giants are going to do as much as Rogaine did for me.
Hey, man.
Money
look,
down the drain.
Look. I'm not going to have you coming here talking crazy about the Giants. We don't need that, Mitch. And I have been very upset with what the Giants did this offseason. But I've looked at what's going on and what possibly could be going on this year. I think it's a team that could be above 500. Look, I have a bet that they're going to finish below 500, but I think I might lose that bet. They might be above 500. And now that there's like 40 teams that get into the playoffs, Giants might be a playoff team this year.
I think they'll be number 41. And, I wonder how many games they'll be behind the Dodgers. Even the Padres. I'm worried about the Padres making that division.
Oh, yeah, they definitely going to win that division. It ain't going to be the Dodgers, I can tell you that.
Want to make a bet? No. I want you to keep your mind. You work very hard. And before I get to my grandson, I want to say the Kings, I think Fox and Sabonis should get some MVP votes. But like you were talking about yesterday, I think you got to give it to the Denver Center, Nikola Jokic, because he's playing with a couple of guys that just kind of underachieving. And Gordon and my boy Mike Porter Jr. Sometimes he reminds me of his brother, and his brother's not even in the league. Right? The college ball was great yesterday. My Pac-12 went down. I can't say blame injuries, but I don't know who brought it up. But Timmy, I want to see the Kings draft Timmy, so I know Matul will be going in before him for sure. All right.
Yo, all right. First of all, no, I don't think I want to draft Timmy. Nothing personal. I'm just not interested. No, we need a big guy who can block shots, defend the paint, defend the rim. That's not what Timmy is. I don't see any reason why. Well, I take this back. If one of your 7 second-round picks, maybe you want to take a chance on Timmy, whatever. Shouldn't be with that first-round pick, that's for sure. What's the other thing he said? What else was Mitch talking about?
He said Michael Porter Jr. reminds him of his brother because he's not in the league.
Who's not in the league? I do remember his brother did play basketball. Janae Porter, I think is his name. He played at Missouri, and he did not make the league. So he reminds him of him. And he said something else. I got to take notes.
I think that was it, because it was just Giants talking, stuff like that, after, like before that.
Yeah.
Oh, he was talking about Jokic being MVP.
Oh, yeah.
I guess that was like the broader
point.
point.
That's what he said. He's talking about Michael Porter Jr. Then he talked about Aaron Gordon. Aaron Gordon was a borderline all-star this year. What are you talking about?
He's been solid. I mean, really good defensively. But again, I never thought, like, I didn't like his all-star candidacy because I don't think it's like you don't give it to a guy who just sort of lives up to all the hype from his previous years. Like, to me, that's not it. And I still don't like, I watch him play and I think he's like Brandon Clark, who gets way more opportunity. You know,
he was having a really good, I hear what you're saying. I thought he was playing really well this year.
Who, Brandon?
No, Aaron Gordon.
Oh no, I think he's had a good season, but like, is he
an all-star? No, that's a little bit
of one of the top 24 players in the league.
That's a little bit of a stretch, but
I don't think so.
I thought he was playing really well. So here's a couple of responses that I got from what I've been talking about all day. Your unpopular King's opinion, and people have been chiming in on Twitter all day long. I love them all. I've retweeted as many as possible. But here are some that I want to bring to you, James. And I said, what's the unpopular King's opinion?
Let's hear it.
You believe.
I'm in.
Our guy John Bull. This is an interesting one. Guy John Bull says the Kings are in a better spot today because of Vlade's blunders than they would have been if Vlade made the right decisions. And he's really talking about drafting Luka and the pick swap situation.
Yeah, I mean, like, look, I think if you go back and look at the previous, well, we could look at like the last 4 years of Jeff Petrie. We could look at the Pete D'Alessandro era, and we could look at the Vlade Divac era and compare all three of those. I think Vlade did less damage to the franchise.
I agree.
And, you know, that's with that first year where he really wasn't given anyone to support him. It was just kind of him on his own. That was a problem. And then, you know, him and Peja, Ken Cantanella, I thought, like, I think the beauty of that era is something that probably goes really, really unnoticed. It's that Ken Cantanella stopped them from making any egregious mistakes that hamstrung the franchise for, you know, years and years and years. If anything, you could say the Harrison Barnes extension was probably more than he probably should have got, but it was declining scale. And then the Buddy Hield contract, which everyone in the league lauded when, I mean, like, that's a great signing. They got such a steal at $86 million over 4 years. Those two, they didn't kill the franchise. You were able to get off of one of them, and you still have one of the players from the other, and it's on a declining scale, and it's really helped you. So I think Ken Cantanella probably was the protective layer that helped save Vlade from some mistakes. Interesting, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
Could he have set the franchise up better? Yeah, you know, that whole thing where you traded the 10th pick for the 15th and the 20th and selected Justin Jackson instead of instead of John Collins, and you selected
I wanted
Harry
Monk.
Childs instead of OG Anunoby.
Yeah.
Or if you just stayed at 10 and drafted either Bam Adebayo, who was De'Aaron Fox's
was there.
teammate,
I wanted
or
Monk too.
Donovan Mitchell.
Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah, Donovan Mitchell at 12. Yeah, those are things where you can go back and really point fingers. But if we like look at the Papagiannis draft, like Vlade didn't do anything wrong. No one around Papagiannis was any good at all. The fact that he moved back from 9 to there, he should have just drafted Domas. But again, that's not who went with the number 9 pick. The number 9 pick is, I'm pretty sure, out of the league.
Yeah.
Why am I drawing the kid from Sacramento?
It was oh man, it was like a wing.
No, it's a forward center. It's
forward.
The kid from Elk Grove.
Oh, Marquise Chris. Marquise Chris.
Yeah. That's who was drafted with that Kings pick.
Yeah.
But even in that, I'll say, like in that trade, they were able to get Scal with the 28, which didn't work out. But they were able to also get the draft rights to Bogdan Bogdanovic, who ends up being the better player out of any of those guys. So yeah, I mean, Vlade made some mistakes, but none of it like killed you except for the Luka deal, which, whether you think Luka would run amok here in Sacramento or not, yeah, I think he would have.
And the thing about that, this probably would have been my unpopular opinion as well, that would have had all the swords coming at me, is it's not necessarily that he didn't pick Luka. It's Marvin Bagley not being able to stay healthy. Because when Marvin played, he was okay. Marvin had like 32 the other night, by the way. But when he played, he was fine. He was 14-7. He was 14-7. And you wonder if he's able to stay healthy, he's able to build on that, maybe be a 20-8 guy or a 19-8 guy, or whatever the case may be. But it wasn't the fact that he just flat out couldn't play basketball. When he played, he was okay. He just could never stay healthy. And who could foresee that in a lot of situations?
Yeah, I think that's the problem, right? You could not have judged that would have been an issue, that, and it wasn't just, I've made this point a bunch of times. It wasn't just that he got hurt. It was that he got hurt all the time. So for his first 3 seasons, he never played more than 20 games in a stretch. And that's really hard. Like, he kept getting basically reset at the beginning because he wasn't able to grow and like learn the nuances of the game. He was always in rehab mode. And that really did play a lot into it. And if Bagley was a 20-10 guy, he really was a really good fit. That's why Vlade drafted him. Like, I had so many conversations with Vlade, and it wasn't that they hated Luka. They had some concerns about Luka's off-court stuff. They had some concerns about Luka in general. No one.
Which, to be fair, kind of still reared their ugly head today.
Totally.
Like, he's a phenomenal ball player, but there's still concerns about how he approaches being a professional.
Oh, totally. And they also knew that, like, that guy was a 19-year-old driving around Europe in like $200,000 cars, living the life every single night. They knew his off the court stuff, but they also looked at Fox as like the answer, and he ends up being the answer just down the road. And they looked at Marvin as a really, really good fit next to him. It was always more about Marvin than it was about Luka. And I'll add this too. Like, I know, like, Mike Schmitz, who now is an assistant GM with the Portland Trailblazers, but who, was the draft expert for forever. Him and Jonathan Gavoni at Draft Express.
Yep.
Like, he's one of the few people that thought that Luka would have. Everyone thought Luka would be really good. Everyone thought that he would be like a 28-8 guy. Everyone, like, most people believed that that's who he was going to be. No one believed he would be a 30-something 10-10 guy. And I know people can say, oh, that's wrong. That's wrong. No, they always thought his scoring would be slightly limited because he's not a great shooter. He's a good shooter, but he's just been incredible. And so, like, do you want him on your team? Well, if you want to, didn't he make it to the Western Conference Finals? Yeah, you want him on your team, but can you win a championship with him? We'll have to wait and see. He's still so incredibly young. What is he, like 23, 24?
24, I believe he is.
Yeah, I mean, he's really young. But
the interesting thing with him, though, is he's like a 10-year professional. You know what I mean? So he's been playing. That's a gift and a curse because he's so used to, this level of basketball. He's not fazed by anything at this point. He's probably seen it all. But you wonder how long he's gonna play. Like, is he a guy that plays into his mid-30s? Because he has played at this level for so long at this point.
No, I mean, it's legitimate. He just turned 24 on February 28th. So, I mean, he's so incredibly young. And that's with like him being a 4-time All-Star, 3-time All-NBA already. So it is hard to say, hey, what mistake did we have here? Like it's an egregious error, but I don't know how much better you are as like an overall franchise, like getting better. And like, you certainly have a more valuable piece because Luka is still more valuable, like on the trade market or in like when you're evaluating franchises, he's still a lot more valuable than either De'Aaron Fox or Domantas Sabonis. Just as a player, he is considered a top 5 player in the league. And while Sabonis is played up to a top 5 player in the league, like statistically, you still wouldn't put him in the same category if you're like, evaluating players for trade. And so, it's a little different.
Absolutely. The other thing about Marvin that I will defend Vlade about is, I mean, just think about that what was that, 2019 or whatever, that last Ager year. Bagley was pretty. Did he make an All NBA or All Rookie team his rookie year? Because he played really well that rookie year. He had a lot of people excited with the way he was able to play when he was able to play.
Yeah, he was an all rookie player. And, again, like people think that I hate Marvin or that I just bag on Marvin. And it's not that. It's just that I kind of feel for the situation. And on top of that, his dad didn't make anything better.
Right.
Like he actually did more damage. That rookie season, he played 62 games, 14.9, 7.6. He had showed promise, a block per game. And I think everyone was excited about it. And it was the next season where, what did he break his hand in the first game of the season? Kelly Oubre karate chopped him in Phoenix. And then on top of that, he had like the 2 foot issues, right? So he came back. He was really good for a game, and then went out again. And then he sat for like 8 games, and then he came back and like 2 days later hurt his foot again. And it was like, okay, they shut him down. He played 13 games. It's just the fits and starts. He never really got an opportunity to build on who he could be. And at the same time, he's got someone beating a drum off the side that's just causing so much distraction and embarrassment to the franchise that it just became untenable.
Yeah. And of course, James, is the India trip, that damn India trip, I think the Kings are still recovering, they're fatigued today because of the India trip.
I'll tell you that, like, we want to like making fun of Luke Walton's first year and his second year. Like the India trip played into it. The broken hand by Marvin Bagley played into
Everything went wrong.
De'Aaron Fox rolled his ankle at the end of practice. Like we're walking in and he just started limping off the court after practice, and had a grade 2 and missed. He was
supposed to miss a month and he missed like 2.5 weeks.
He was supposed to miss 3 months. He missed 7 weeks still.
Damn, he missed 7 weeks.
Yeah, it was that much time. But the fact that he came back so quick, and then that team was rolling, like heading towards the
pandemic. I thought they were going to make the playoffs.
Yeah, actually, it all would have come down really to that night that it shut down between them and the Pelicans. When the Pelicans refused to come out because the official and all that stuff had ref the game 2 nights earlier with Rudy Gobert. So
my numbers could be slightly off, but didn't they have like a 25-game stretch at the second half of the season where they were like 19-6 or something like that?
They were I want to say they were 13-7.
Maybe that's what.
And it came after the Buddy Hield Bogdanovich switch into the starting lineup.
Yep.
They were 13-7 over 20 games. They were rolling. The one team that was ahead of them and the Pelicans was Memphis, and Memphis had like a 56% win percentage against the rest of the season. Like there was no way Memphis was going to hold on. And then the season ended. We get to the bubble. The whole thing blows up.
And to your point, you said it before. I agree with it. It is what it is. If they never had a bubble, Vlade Divac is probably still here as general manager.
Well, yeah, and Bogdan Bogdanovic is still on your team, and like there would have been a lot of things different.
Yeah.
Like very, very different.
Yeah.
Like
It's crazy.
yeah, we had a throwaway season after that.
Yeah.
A complete throwaway season where, again, you can point fingers at Luke Walton, but Luke Walton had like 5 players. Like that's it. Like of that team, half of the team, more than half the team is out of the NBA completely.
Daquan Jeffrey. Shout out to Daquan Jeffrey. Just got a 10-day from somebody. I saw that.
Knicks, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out
But
to
we're talking
Daquan.
about like Jamias Ramsey, Robert Woodard,
Bob Woodard.
Jabari Parker,
Whew.
Nemanja Bjelica, Glenn Robinson III, Hassan Whiteside,
little dog.
Justin James.
Oh,
I just got to
Justin
7
James.
players that are no longer in the league.
jeez. And
And
they were all getting playing time.
Like I didn't even have to try. And that was like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, like, was it even that? I mean, it's like 2 years ago. That's
Yeah.
what that roster is.
They were all getting sick.
Yeah.
A couple other ones that I want, 2 more specifically that I want to address. Trevor Cancilla. I follow Trevor. Yeah, he's a good follow. We have disagreements or agreements back and forth on Twitter. Sorry if I messed up your last name, but he says postseason experience is vastly overrated. If Sac loses in the postseason, that won't be why. They have vet leaders to provide playoff insight, Harrison Barnes, Deli, and Coach Brown, and players with reputations of rising to the occasion in big moments. Plus, it's not like none of these guys have been in the postseason.
Okay.
Your thoughts about that?
My thoughts on that. Harrison Barnes, the last time he was in the NBA playoffs was 2016. 2016. The last time Matthew Dellavedova was in the playoffs, I think, was probably like 2018. But this goes back to that whole, man, if you only had a defensive player, and my point would always be, yeah, you can have a KZ Okpala, who's a great defender, but if he can't actually play on the court, then what value does he bring as a defensive player? Like, it's one thing to defend somebody for 25 minutes on the court. It's a whole nother thing to be a good defender who sits on the bench. Like, that does not help you. Matthew Dellavedova has playoff experience. He can talk to people about playoff experience. He will not be on the court to provide playoff experience. Right. Kevin Huerter, but now we start looking at, like, he's played in the playoffs. But Malik Monk, no.
Hasn't Kessler Edwards been in the playoffs?
Yeah, well, yeah, maybe Kessler Edwards.
He's been on the bench in a playoff situation.
Yeah, De'Aaron Fox never played in the playoffs. Davion Mitchell's never played in the playoffs. I maybe Trey Lyles has played in the playoffs. I'm pretty sure Trey
San
Lyles
Antonio
has.
Denver too. Yeah.
But again, we want to talk about like playoff experience and what does it mean and all that stuff. It does have value. Now, the Kings also have no pressure because no one is expecting anything from them. So if they come out and play loose and play like that, like, hey, this is all gravy, like whatever happens here, it's just, an amazing thing that's happening. That's possible that they come out and they play loose and they have that mentality. There's also possibilities that they just don't, like, that there's too much nervous energy, that there's too many mistakes that are made in crucial moments because the moment just becomes too big for somebody. Yeah. And I think the one good thing that you point to is that De'Aaron Fox, what was it, in like the Sweet 16?
Oh yeah,
dropped 39 on
Lonzo. That was
on
a
Lonzo
huge
Ball.
Game. That was a highly anticipated game.
Yeah, he showed you that he can step up in the moment. And I can also tell you that, like, there are plenty of times where the Kings were in crunch time situations and they had a guy, like, here we go, people are going to get angry that I drop his name, but Buddy Hield, coming out of a timeout would, like, the coach would lay out the plan on the whiteboard. There's
Luke would have a play.
There's 4 seconds left, and then Buddy won't stop. Like, we can't mess this up. We can't mess this up. This is, like, it's all online. Like, you get on the court and he's stressing everyone out and raising the tension level. I don't think the Kings have that guy. The guy who's like, oh yeah, man, this is, who's freaking out in the moment.
Right.
They've had that guy in the past and it was a problem and it stresses everybody out. This team they're just kind of confident and they know, they've had game winners. A bunch of them have had game winners. They don't care. And Fox, setting guys up in crucial moments, giving Chimezie Metu a game winner. Those are things that actually matter.
Yeah.
Like where you have other players on your roster who have had these opportunities to, send up a big 3-point shot in crunch time and hit. Those things matter. So
Yeah.
I think the fact that they've played so many close games, it will help them.
Absolutely. We're going to take a break. There's one more of these that I need to address, and I'm going to have the sword up to this guy because I don't appreciate this, and I need to speak about it. We're going to talk about that. We also got Lina Washington, formerly of ABC 10, now out in Phoenix in 12 News in Phoenix. She's going to tap in with us just because, she's an honorary Sacramentan. All right.
Yeah.
And her team that she covers is coming here. We got to talk to Lina, see how she's doing, and maybe get a little insight on the Sun. So we've got all that. Kenny Caraway, your main man, KC, and James Ham here filling in for D-Lo. D-Lo and KC, ESPN 1320, Sacramento's sports leader. We'll be right back. Ooh. Okay. And I got to get Jeff's thing in. Okay. I could do it right out of break. Okay.
So Trey Lyles has played 18 total minutes in the playoffs over 5 games.
Denver?
He played 8 minutes in Denver and 10 minutes for the Utah Jazz in 2017. Hasn't been to the playoffs in 4 years.
It's a whole new ball game. No. Do you want to say that? Yeah. No. Say it, yeah. Let's say I'm gonna do the thing. I'm gonna talk about the one that irked me, and then we'll get yours.
Yeah, Dellavedova played 78 minutes in the 2018 playoffs.
Who was he with?
Milwaukee. He's got a total of 52 playoff games, 976 minutes.
Delly went to work on the 2015 Warriors for one game. Actually, I think he had like 2 or 3 good games.
Yeah, I think Kevin Huerter is the one who's played, clearly the most recently.
Kevin, I don't want to say he won a game 7, but he was, I think he had like, 27 in that game 7 against Philly or something like that.
How much time do we have till we're back? Okay, I'll run.
Yeah,
I'll be right back.
Do what you got to do. Yep.
Oh. Maybe I didn't have that one. Yeah. Herder he's played quite a bit.
You know what? Let me double check something. I don't think so. I'm just trying to ball and live. I'm calling in. I'm the golden child for real. Hold on, guys. I'm checking something real quick. Don't mind me. Oh, look what's on my timeline. Tekashi getting smacked up again. I mean, it's not a separate time. It's the same time. It's just always on my. Oh, bro. I don't think I had the volume up, but I heard the. I shouldn't laugh at that, but yeah, they stomped his ass out. You know, one thing I don't like that I don't like watching, and I think they kind of got him a little bit, is head kicks. I don't like head kicks. I think
Yeah, that's tough.
Only head kicks I like is Randy Orton punting somebody.
That was wild. That was like when I was in middle school. I was like, oh my god, mom, this guy's killing people on the air right now.
He would punt these guys. I'm the golden child for real.
And I'm back.
That was a quick break, James.
Who do we got? Herder last year.
What do you have in that game 7 if you have it up? I think he had like 25, 27 against Philly.
Yeah, I mean, what's it, last year? Career playoffs. Let me look.
2021, I believe.
27 in 2020. 620.
Oh, here we go. Once again, did it again.
Oh, no, it's 21.
Just a reminder for some of you guys, we're ducking out early today for the NCAA tournament, man. Sweet 16 action. If it's anything like last night, you guys, well, we all are in for a heck of a night in college basketball. Now, I got a question for you. Do you have busted brackets, but still want to be in on the action? Want the best bets for every day of the tournament, expert betting trends, public money line movement, and more? All you have to do is follow ESPN 1320 in the Odyssey app to unlock 2 months of free betting insights from BetQL. Simply download the Odyssey app, create an account, and follow ESPN 1320 to unlock your 2-month free trial at BetQL. I might do that. That'll lead right into the NBA playoffs. You might need that. You know what I mean? Get a couple butts down for the NBA playoffs. So, yeah, go do that on the Odyssey app for sure. I said there was one other we got Lina Washington of 12 News in Arizona joining us at the top of the hour at 3 o'clock. But a couple of these unpopular opinions. There was one I saw that, you know what, I didn't appreciate. I didn't like. All right. And I had to address it.
Let's hear it, Kenny.
Kang's Memes on Twitter says, the Kings fans at Golden One Center need to bring it more if they want to be considered, quote, best fans in the NBA. First of all, don't be disrespectful to that Golden One Center crowd that has been on point all year long. All right, there's that. And he talks about they're not standing during the intros. They're not standing until the first team scores or until the Kings score or whatever. First of all, I hate that. I don't need to stand until the team scores. I don't give a damn. All right, we don't need that. That's Oklahoma City stuff. We don't need to do all that. Second of all, number one, or I just said second of all, but second of all, the Kings crowds have been phenomenal. I also feel like there's another level that Kings fans are waiting to reach for the playoffs. You can't give them the playoff crowds in the regular season all the time. You got to give them playoff crowd standing for the warm-ups, Slamson out there with the glow stick doing all that. You do that in the playoffs. You don't do that against the Washington Wizards. There's another level. Am I right, James? There's another level this crowd's got.
There's a much higher level that they will get to. And I don't think there's anything wrong with the level that we've seen so far. Look, we talk about season playoff players, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what that means. These fans are not yet seasoned playoff or contention fans at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Like I remember,
we need our playoff reps.
Yeah. So I was lucky enough to go to the 95, 96 season.
Oh, yeah.
The series against Seattle. I was at every game.
Mm-hmm. Rattle Seattle.
Arco Arena was alive. Like you could walk in the building and you could feel the buzz. And like the hair would stand up on your arm or on the back of your neck. You would feel it. I was there for plenty of playoff games through 1998 through 2006. Even one of their, I think I was at the Kevin Martin game, against San Antonio. Like, again, the building has it's actually a living, breathing thing. I compare it to like New York City. You go to New York City 2:00 in the morning, that city's still alive. You still feel it. The city has like a pulse. You can feel it.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited to see what fans bring. What we're seeing right now is 18,111 fans fill up Golden One Center. And just so people know, they're like, you can point fingers at Kings fans all you want. They've been through like so much crap over the last Again, since I started 2010,
Mhm.
2 relocation attempts, ownership change, 4 different front offices, 9 different head coaches, so many players I can't even count. Like, they've been through so much, but this season alone, the Kings had to go find a way to add seats to the building, and they've added about 700 seats during the season
Mhm.
that they can
They
sell.
have that little makeshift VIP area at the main entrance. I said,
We should
where
get
did this
that
come
like
from?
the ESPN 13 party. We should just rent that thing. I think you can bring
So
like
where the hell
40 of
this
your
come
closest
from?
friends. Yeah, like that's amazing what they're doing there. And of course, like as someone who worked on the set right there, there's nothing worse when they do stuff like that, because like how are you supposed to do like a live hit while 40 something people are sitting there screaming and partying and there's like a DJ and everything? You're like, what is happening here? Like, thanks for doing like what Vanilla Ice screaming go turtle go in the
Ninja Turtles
middle of
coming back.
a halftime show. You're sitting there trying to do halftime, and this dude is 15 feet away hanging off this, like there are some decisions that are made, but we're back to the standing room only. Like, you can get standing room only tickets. You go sit in the crazy Sierra Nevada brewery way up high and enjoy the game. Like, the fans have been amazing. Like, don't take anything with these fans. Like, they stood up when no one else would have stood up.
And for those who weren't outside, when the Kings were doing their thing, you weren't outside. You weren't outside. I was outside, right? The Kings weren't what you see from the Kings playoffs, crowds and against the Lakers and all this other stuff. That's not what would happen in December against the Rockets. Still a great crowd at Arco, but hey, like Bonte was saying, there's levels to this crowd thing. You have how you perform and how you have crowds in the regular season, and then in the playoffs, it turns up. And you will see game 1, Golden One Center will turn up to a point that we haven't seen here in almost decades. Like, it's going to be crazy. Playoff crowds are just different by nature, and it's about to be different at the Golden One Center.
Yeah, I mean, you'll have glow sticks or you'll have wristbands that all light up together. Everyone will get a T-shirt for the game. Like, that's like the playoffs. Like, it just is different. And so what I hope is that a lot of these, I first of all, I hope that like any fan that really wants to go to a game, that they can afford to get into a game early in the playoff run. Like, if this team goes to the Western Conference Finals, like, look, it's going to price out so many people. And it's something that the Warriors have had a real problem with, that, during their championship runs, like, just people got the common fan got priced out of the building. So while their crowd's been really good, and I've been there for really good, great crowds, and they always hand out the same yellow shirt. So it looks like Minions all over. Like, every time I'm there, I think I'm watching like Despicable Me. Like, it's so many Minions. But like, still the real fan is priced out. And that's hard. And so it happened in Sacramento by the end, that the real fan was priced out. And then, like, you have these people who spend a lot of money on playoff tickets that don't really go to games or don't really care like the real fan.
Right.
I think we're going to see the beginning of, the real fan will be there.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, we got a legend, a Sacramento legend back here with us. It's been too long. Lina Washington, what's going on with you, girl?
What's up, guys? I'm sorry, I'm literally in Sacramento International Airport right now. Just touched down. I will be enjoying the game for fun tonight, so I'm excited to be back. Already got my restaurants and friends lined up that I'm trying to see. You two are starting it off, so pleasure to see both of you.
Well, I appreciate you coming on and rapping with us for a little bit. I didn't even give you the proper introduction. Lina Washington of 12 News. And you guys are in Phoenix, right?
Correct.
I always say Arizona, but it's Phoenix specifically. You went back home, but we know you here as ABC 10 legend, Lina Washington. And you got a pretty exciting time since you've been back there. You went to an NBA Finals immediately. Now Kevin Durant is there in Phoenix, even though they're kind of, waiting for him to get back and they're going through their struggles. Still a good time to be covering the Suns and be a Suns fan right now, I'm sure.
Yeah, and we had this little thing called the Super Bowl that happened just last month.
I blocked that out of my mind, Lina. The Niners didn't make it, so I just blocked that out of my mind.
I feel you. Well, Well, hey, we are rooting for Brock Purdy homecoming for the kid from Gilbert, but obviously Hassan Reddick had other plans. But it's been an incredible almost 2 years now of being home, and I would always say, as a Suns fan living in Sacramento for the longest time, we were as fans right there in terms of the level of misery and lack of playoff experience, I guess, in recent years. So to see both the Suns and the Kings doing so well right now is exciting for me. But I just hope both teams have fun tonight, guys.
Teams having fun? Come on now. Lina, first of all, it's so good to see you. It's been a long time. And of course, Lina did the Boards for Change, which people remember here in Sacramento, just absolutely amazing in the community while she was paired with my guy, Sean Cunningham. What do you expect from this Suns team? Because they've been so hit and miss. You can either look at them as a title contender or someone who, if they can't stay healthy, they're not going to be around very long.
Yeah, absolutely. I think after last year's exit in the second round in Game 7 against the Mavericks, I think Suns fans are a bit on edge as far as what this team can do in the playoffs and how far they'll go. With a healthy Kevin Durant and a healthy Devin Booker and a healthy Chris Paul, they are absolutely title contenders, or at least they have a good shot to make it out of the West, as best a shot as any team. But they've lost 5 of their last 6 without KD. You're losing, obviously, with the trade, 2 key players in the last several years of this success, which was Cam Johnson and Mikal Bridges. And Suns fans miss them, but at the end of the day, it's Kevin Durant, right? So it's going to be interesting to see how these last 10 or so games play out, and if they're able to stay healthy in the postseason, because losing Booker last year to start the playoffs in New Orleans proved to be pretty tough. I don't think anyone expected that series with the Pelicans to go as long as it did. But I think there's a level of excitement surrounding this team, especially with the new ownership and Matt Ishbia, that I think will have Suns fans feeling energized and optimistic. But we're just so used to being crushed on the big stage as Arizona sports fans. So we're really bracing for anything.
You're listening to ESPN 1320, KIFM, West Sacramento, and Odyssey Station. D-Lo and Casey, brought to you by Sky River Casino with 17 different restaurants and bars like 32 Brews. Sky River Casino has something for everyone. We're talking to Lina Washington of 12 News in Phoenix, but everybody here knows her best for all her great work at ABC 10. It's good to see her back in the fold. And Lina, one of the things that we talk about a little bit here in Sacramento with the Kings doing what they're doing and having this dream season and on the brink of breaking that 16-year playoff drought is everything is golden right now. I forgot what movie it was. It was like one of those Pixar movies or Disney movies where they go, everything is awesome. It was the Lego movie.
Yeah, the Lego movie.
The Lego movie. That's how it is here in Sacramento. Everything is awesome, right? And
everything is cool when you're lighting the beam.
I don't know. Look at the light in
There
the
we
beam.
go.
That's what I'm talking about right there. And we're having such a great time. We're enjoying this, right? And we tell people all the time, have fun with this. Enjoy it, because this is probably the only year it's going to be like this. Because once you get past this, there's going to be expectations. And I think about the Phoenix Suns. In the first year that they, were good, they ended up going all the way to the finals. It seemed like it was just euphoria. Everybody was having a good time. But now, 2 years removed from that, there are the whispers of, we need to do this to get better, and we're wasting our opportunity, we're wasting our window. Do you feel the same type of thing going on from that first year where everything was awesome to we need to get this done before we lose our opportunity?
Oh, absolutely. There are certainly parallels there. I don't think anybody in 2021 expected the Suns to be playing the Bucks in the finals, but when you reach that level, the players are hungry to get there again, and they know how hard it is. And then, like we saw last year, I mean, they had a franchise record-setting season. They had this winning streak going, most wins in a single season for the franchise, and then the way they went out was so disappointing that I think a lot of fans were wondering how much longer is this window going to be open. I remember, all the conversations around Chris Paul and his longevity in this league and wanting to get him a ring before all is said and done. But I think it's refreshing for fans in Sacramento to have expectations, to have fans leaving a summer league game predicting 40 wins and have that actually realized. So I'm all for enjoying the moment. And then again, seeing this level achieved and having expectations moving forward. I think when you have a guy like De'Aaron Fox who's experiencing this level of success for the first time and he's the head of the snake, you are going to be in good hands because he's not going to want to let this moment or this experience go to waste. So I think right now everything's coming up roses, and I think any winning season is one to be celebrated in Sacramento, but one where you're going to make it to the playoffs is absolutely one to, I mean, shoot, I'm not going to blame anybody for having a parade on K Street just for getting past the first series or winning the first playoff game, to be honest with you.
Lina, how excited are you to be back in Sacramento and feel the excitement that this fan base has been waiting on for so many years? And you talk about like the lighting of the beam, if somehow they beat the Suns, tonight, all that stuff, just you have to, from the outside looking in, the vibe has to be really cool as someone who was here for so long.
Uh-oh, there she goes. You hear us now, Lina?
Yes, yeah, I can hear you now. I mean, I'm the one going to bat for Sacramento and the Kings in the newsroom, and it's kind of funny because in the early going of the season, I was kind of telling my coworkers that, this is cool that they're experiencing success, but it's kind of their mode of operation to kind of fall off after the All-Star break or after the trade deadline. That's kind of how we've seen the trend in recent years. And then that didn't happen. And it's been kind of my feather in my cap of knowing how hungry this fan base is and knowing how rocking Golden One Center is going to be when a playoff game does happen there. But now it's kind of funny. My coworkers like to take what I'm saying from my, 4 seasons of covering the Kings, and they'll be like, oh yeah, the Kings aren't going to do anything. They're not scary. They're not this, they're not that. And I'm thinking, well, they do have 4 guys in Utah for the All-Star break, and the Suns have 1 only because they traded for him. And they did win the last, I think, 2 matchups, is it, in the series? So I think they are a team to be worried about. And I can say those things because I cover the team, and I know the fans, and they would be self-deprecating right there with me. But to see the excitement, the whole light the beam sensation phenomenon, I think, is really cool to get fans hyped. And I will always say the most hype I've seen Golden One Center was actually for the California Classic post-game concert with T-Pain right outside with the sculpture outside on the grand entrance. And I kid you not, everyone was jumping up and down and so hyped that I thought the ground was going to cave in. But that is what
I remember that it was shaking.
Yeah, but that was a summer league game in Sacramento. So if that's the level of energy that people are bringing then, I can only imagine what April's going to look like.
Doco's going to be a madhouse in a good way.
Yes.
Lina, I want to talk about the Suns just a little bit. We mentioned that they lost 5 of their last 6. Kevin Durant has been hurt. They mentioned today that he may be back next week, so they're definitely going to need him coming back. DeAndre Ayton isn't on the trip. He's not playing. Well, what do you think about this team? Do you think that it's as simple as they're just trying to, get to the playoffs and everything will be good? Or is there going to be a little bit of a buffer time where they need to figure out how to play with Kevin Durant and incorporate him into what they try to do as a team? And now they've got this issue where Monty Williams, it seems like every night it's talking about they don't get respected with the fouls. Like, what's kind of the state of the Phoenix Suns right now?
Yeah, right now it's in a bit of disarray, to be honest with you. I think the free throw disparity has been a topic of conversation for the last week or so, particularly when they're matched up with the Bucks. You can see the disparity. I think I actually did the research, and it was like 6 of their last 9 matchups. Giannis had more free throws than the entire Suns team combined. So that's going back to the 2021 finals. But in terms of the state of the team, I think they're fine with Kevin Durant and incorporating him. They were super successful when he was just getting started in the Charlotte game and the stretch of games that he was healthy. And Devin Booker was able to do what he does best, which is score. He's been on a tear. But I think the depth of this team is really going to be the concern. And Monty's had some admitted difficulty in finding rotation and playing guys and going to, 10 guys or 12 guys and trying to find a group that can really be cohesive together on the court. You have Landry Shamet, who just came back from an injury. He hasn't played for several weeks as well. So you have guys that are trying to get their win. You have guys that are new to the system, and Terrence Ross and TJ Warren, who's coming back to Phoenix, but just trying to figure out the rotations and the spark that's going to be coming off the bench. Typically that was Cam Johnson, and now it's kind of a 6-man by committee almost when you look at what they have when they don't have Kevin or Landry or DA available. They're exhausting a lot of their options, and I think that might be the biggest challenge for them down the stretch.
Lina, Bismack Biyombo versus Domantas Sabonis. Your thoughts?
Well, I hope Domantas doesn't try Bismack like Marquise Chris did, because he learned the hard way. Probably not the guy you want to go after. But that is going to be a fun, physical matchup, I think. Bismack has done so well since coming back to the Suns. His story and getting back into the fold in the NBA is really incredible, and he has been a key member of this team, especially with DA missing time. But I'm looking forward to seeing Domas in person, because I haven't been able to see him in person, I don't think. And the way that he and Fox play together, I'm looking forward to that matchup, of course. I think a lot of people are, with the former Kentucky player going up against each other.
Yeah, absolutely. Lina, we appreciate you taking the time out. I know this isn't home. You are from Phoenix, but you got love out here. We treat you like this is your home. So you come here, you're always good. We appreciate you taking the time to rap with us, and enjoy your weekend.
Oh, thank you guys. Thank you so much for having me. It only took me moving out of Sacramento to be featured on the hottest radio program in sports radio, but it's always good to see you.
I don't even think this show existed when you were still here. So, if it existed, you definitely would have been on here. You know that.
I got you. Well, yeah, I'm excited to see you both. Shout out to Sean also. He was out at spring training, so we got to link up, but I'm excited to see all of you and hear Scott Moak on the mic tonight at the game.
Absolutely.
Sweet. Cookies are on me tonight.
Fantastic. I was going to ask who's going to be the cookie plug, because I'll tell you what, they're not the same in Phoenix. All respect to the culinary staff there.
Lina Washington, 12 News, Phoenix, formerly ABC 10, and always love here in Sacramento. Thank you, Lina. We appreciate you.
Thanks, guys.
Take care. Lina Washington. I want to give a big shout out to the Wi-Fi, the reception at Sac International. That was pretty good. It made me say, dang. What you know about that? James don't know because he don't be watching the game. He be at the games. But you know about that commercial that they always show.
Oh, I think I've seen it. I think I've seen it.
Little silly commercial.
Yeah. The Red Rabbit. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. If Lina can hear, she needs to make sure she takes a picture in front of the rabbit. That's Mando. When you come back to Sacramento, you're in the airport, you're going down the escalator, you have to take a picture of the rabbit, put it on your social medias, let everybody know you're back.
It's wild.
Yeah, so you got to do it.
Random rabbit hanging from the ceiling. Who knows?
James, when you go to OKC for the playoffs, when you come back, you got to take a picture of the rabbit. Remember that.
Okay. Okay.
One of the things that we talked about all day long throughout the day is unpopular opinions in regards to the Kings. I've named a couple, some that I had, some that, people said on Twitter. Got massive response to that when I tweeted it out. But Jesse had one that he wanted to talk about. And I'm interested to hear this one. Jesse, you got an unpopular opinion when it comes to the Sacramento Kings?
Yeah, so we all think the Kings are contenders to make out the West this season, but I don't think anyone thinks they're contenders to win the finals. I think next year, if they want to become that, you're gonna have to add that. I don't even know if star is the right word, but that third player. And I think the only way you can do that is if you upgrade over Harrison Barnes in the offseason. I don't think you can really do that anywhere else.
James, your thoughts?
This
first.
is your hot take. Look, to a certain degree, I understand the thinking. And I'll just tell you that you might have him already. You just need to make sure that you're growing him the right way, and that's Keegan Murray. And so while, yes, I totally agree that, in order to take that next leap, you're going to have to be very aggressive this offseason. But they've done this without that player, like
Mm.
without having that player. And how they've done it is with 2 stars
Mm.
and then like 5 really good players
Yeah.
that know their role and that play to their strengths. So yeah, I think that there's a possibility you could add another piece and really take this thing over the top. But I also think that you're going to have to, whether it's Harrison Barnes coming back or finding someone at his level to bring in to replace Harrison Barnes.
Mm.
And I don't like consider Sasha Vezenkov as that player.
You think he's coming over?
Man, Monty was there this last weekend. Like they're really putting on the push for him.
Mm.
Yeah, I think there's a good chance he comes over, but at the same time, like be realistic of who he is.
Right.
Like if you can get 10 to 12 points a game off the bench from him, that's great. He's not a player that I would just automatically think that can replace Harrison Barnes. I don't think that that's
Right.
who he is.
Right.
Like, can he replace Trey Lyles? Maybe.
Mm.
But very, very good offensive player, not a great defensive player. He's 6'8", 6'9", but not a long wingspan, not a great defender. Like there's some limitations to who and what he can be. That doesn't mean he can't be a solid rotational player for you.
Mm.
But the Kings still, if they bring over Sasha, and let's say they bring back Harrison Barnes, like you still need that player that we've been talking about. And if that's Kessler Edwards, that's fine.
Right.
Maybe Kessler Edwards grows into that defensive player that can come in and actually play solid minutes for you.
Mm.
But this team is probably going to need another upgrade, here, whether it's backup 5 or whether it's a 3-4 combo or whether it's another guard, whatever it is, they're going to need more if they want to go from where they are today to where they hopefully will be.
Yeah, no, I mean, and to Jesse's point, I understand exactly what he's saying. My reservations are when the Harrison Barnes spot is the one spot. I look at super impact. Not that bench players don't matter or role player. Not saying that, but when you talk about bringing in another star level player to put you over the top, doing what Cleveland did in getting Donovan Mitchell, something like that, there's only one spot, in my opinion, and it is the Harrison Barnes spot. And the thing about it is, if you're going to move on from Harrison, I think the guy has to be better than Harrison. It can't be a guy that's about the same. Like I look at somebody like Jeremy Grant. I don't know if, especially when you talk about the vibes and you see things like the run, and you hear the players talk about Harrison Barnes and the certain level of respect and reverence they have for Harrison Barnes and their appreciation for who he is, and the coaching staff and the way they talk about him. De'Aaron, who spent essentially his whole career with Harrison Barnes and how he respects him. And I look at Jeremy Grant, and he's a fine player. You could make the argument he's better than Harrison, but is he that much more better where you can move on from Harrison and improve as a team? I don't know. I have those same questions when you talk about OG. Like I think OG's a better player than Harrison Barnes, but is he that much better than Harrison Barnes where he's going to catapult you to championship status and the things that you lose from losing Harrison Barnes that you don't see in the stat sheet, that you see in the locker room and things of that nature? His play can make up for that. I don't know if there's too many guys that will realistically be available that you would want to bring in to move on from Harrison.
Okay, so like we're talking about two totally different, in my opinion. Like Jeremy Grant, I think is a perfect fit for what the Kings do and what the Kings need, right? He is that long, athletic, he can shoot the 3 ball, he can get inside, he plays defense, he can block some shots, he can be a weak side shot blocker, he's not a great rebounder. Like that's fine. But again, I also understand what you're saying about the upgrade between like who Harrison Barnes and what he means to the team versus what Jeremy Grant would mean coming in. Like would that be a wise swap out? I don't know. I mean, you're basically looking at a different version, a slightly tweaked version of Harrison Barnes in that situation. Whether he fits in personality wise and is the citizen and all that stuff. Like he's not a bad citizen. That's not what I'm saying. But
Right.
if he's the guy that really helps your team off the court, I'm not sure that he can be that guy, or if he is that guy, we'd have to see. I mean, he's coming from situations where, has he ever put up numbers on a good team? And the answer is like, really, it's no. Like you could say maybe he put up good numbers. What was it?
Denver, I think.
And Denver
OKC.
for like,
was he in OKC when they made the playoffs with Russ and PG?
Yeah.
But he was fourth, fifth, sixth option. You know.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, exactly. He's never been on a really good team, been a guy that, again, you put up 20 points a game in Detroit on a team that wins, 25 games. That's not what we're talking about. Even like go to his what he's doing in Portland. That's really not what you would expect. Like that team should have been better. Now I'll take it like OG Anunoby, I think is different. Like, first of all, he has like primo, like spectacular playoff experience. He's a guy who's won a title. He is a lockdown defender. He's so strong. He's so physical. He can get you a lot of what Harrison does as an offensive player, but he wouldn't have to be an 18-point a game guy. He can be a 15, 16-point a game guy and really be a star level defender and get a lot of publicity and a lot of props. So I think
doesn't he have injury concerns?
Well, he blew an ACL when he was young, coming into the draft, but again, he played months later. So yeah, I think he's a guy who, like he can be a game changer defensively. He can take this team from 25 and make them into a top 10 or top 12 defensive team overnight, and you wouldn't lose much on the offensive end, if any.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's
not to quote Luca.
Well,
it's going to cost
you. Just in, James Ham fined $35,000.
That's right. It's going to cost you if that's what you're going to do. It's going to cost you a ton.
And that's another thing, right? So that's a whole nother aspect to something like this. OG's a better player. I agree with you. OG younger, fits. He's a better player, I believe. But not only what you take away from Harrison Barnes' locker room and all this other stuff wise, what you'd have to give up to get OG, is it worth it as opposed to just re-signing Harrison Barnes? And what is Harrison looking at? Maybe a 3-year deal, 2 with a player option? Like what's that next contract looking like?
I mean, I think Bogdanovich's deal kind of like threw everything off. Everyone's looking around like, what in the world just happened? But if I'm Harrison, I'd probably want like a legit 3-year deal. We've talked about this before, like a $48 million deal that was like 17, 16, and 15 to get there. And I don't know if that works anymore. If my math is, that's 48 million. Or maybe go up to a 40 and a $54 million deal, whatever it would be. Like I would want a declining scale contract. I still think he's a very good NBA player. His off the court stuff is spectacular. What he brings to the table as a leader and everything else. But can you improve the position? That's always going to be the question. And can you bring him back and then find a player that sort of can be the next version of him when he's gone? And whether that again is Kessler or someone like that, or you use a 22nd, 23rd pick on a player like that. I don't know, but I certainly think that there are ways to improve this roster in the offseason, both with Harrison Barnes coming back and without him coming back.
Yeah, no, I'm anxious to see it. But right now, the Kings are playing basketball. Right now, this team is trying to get something done. You got a big weekend here with Phoenix tonight, Utah tomorrow night. Just for argument's sake, we'll throw Minnesota in there on Monday. What you thinking for how you feeling about this team going into the weekend? They've got the couple of days of rest that they didn't get after that road trip. 2 big games. You could essentially win the Pacific Division tonight. Get one step closer to clinching a playoff spot. How you feeling about the Kings going in tonight?
Man, I watched them practice yesterday and today at shoot around, and I thought the vibe was different. It was more workmanlike and focused than I've seen. They know that they've lost 2 in a row. They know that there will become questions that seep in if they don't get a win here. And
especially a shorthanded Phoenix team.
Yeah, I think they're ready. I don't worry about shorthanded or a squad that's fully intact. It doesn't really matter at the NBA. Like, sure, there are great players, but this is a team that still has a Hall of Famer running the point, who basically puts up 10 assists in the first quarter against you every time you play him, and then a guy who went for 70. So it's not
the
like
anniversary of that, by the way.
Yeah,
today.
6 years, right? Is that what it was? Yeah, that's
In
crazy.
the loss.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a team that's still really dangerous, and it's still led by one of the great leaders the game has ever seen in Chris Paul. Love him, hate him. He's considered one of the great leaders. Everyone who's ever played for him, played with him, or coached with him, they feel that way. So yeah, I think it's a huge game. And then I think you got payback coming against Utah on Saturday. And then, that game on Monday could be really crucial in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, absolutely. Real quick before we get out of here, Mike Brown was speaking yesterday, and I believe him. I maybe this isn't the right way to phrase it, but when he says like, I hadn't really looked at the standings. Well, I think I know we're in 3, but I don't know. I haven't looked at it in about 3 or 4 days or whatever. You believe him?
No.
I don't either.
Even like they keep sending out emails that are like sophisticated with all these numbers and craziness, and they're like, okay, what exactly like the playoff layout, like how many games you need to win from here on out? No. But I also know that like this team is focused. They're ready. They know that this is playoffs tonight. And that's what it is. Tonight, tomorrow, Monday, that's round 1 of your playoffs.
Yeah, they sense it. And one of the things that they're able to do, I know they'll probably have or they will have a week off if they clinch. But if you handle business this weekend before you go out on the road, and we talked about it earlier, you can play with the minutes a little bit to get these guys geared up for the postseason. If you take care of business now, don't let it linger for another week or something like that. Take care of business this weekend with 2 teams in your building, 3 teams when you talk about Monday night.
Yeah, this is fun. This is playoff basketball. It's 10 games left in the season, but mark it down. These games matter. They matter a lot to this team. They matter a lot to the franchise, and
lots of the city, man. A lot to the city.
It's fun.
I can't wait, man. James, appreciate you coming in, man. You were in for the long haul today, man. I appreciate you.
It's a long day.
It is.
I won't be home until midnight. What time is it? Right?
Tell Mrs. Ham I said thank you.
I still got like another 9 hours to go.
Tell Mrs. Ham I said thank you, and I appreciate it, man. And I appreciate all you guys for tapping in today in the chatty house, on the airwaves and on the Odyssey app and things of that nature. Had a great time. Have a great weekend. Hopefully, we're getting ready for a nice little party come Monday. That's what I'm hoping for, man. Damien will be back. I'll be back. You guys be good. D-Lo and KC, ESPN 1320. We'll see you next week. Sorry. Oh, man. Long day for me, too. I got to use the restroom. Yeah, man. This weekend, man, we should have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I do believe, just because it's like the way that things happen for the Kings, it never happens where they can maximize the celebration. I think they'll end up clinching on Sunday with the Timberwolves loss.
That would suck.
What?
I mean, it is what it is. You want to get in
whatever,
and all that stuff.
It's whatever. Yeah. I think they would have the opportunity to clinch home court if that happened, they'd have an opportunity to clinch home court maybe on Monday.
Yeah.
Yeah. They top 4 seed, so. Oh, bruh. Yeah, man. Y'all want to check us out next week, man. Come on now.
Uh-oh. I don't know who's coming in.
Yeah, absolutely. We're just gonna keep it on the low until it's ready. But it's ready, but we're just gonna keep it on the low.
Yeah, Tuesday's gonna be a fire show. Make sure you guys tap in.
No doubt.
OG's only 25.
Damn. You could say 5 years off of your starting small forward.
He basically like 16.6 points, 5.1 rebounds, 1.9 assists. His shooting percentage is 47, 38.1. They're almost identical to Barnes. The biggest difference is he leads the league at 2 steals per game.
That's like perfect. Jeez.
Yeah, but it's going to cost you.
Yeah.
Someone asked. It's going to cost you at least 2 first-round picks. If you can get him for your 2022, which won't be a great pick, but and something else.
I feel like they're going to ask for Keegan.
Well, they're going to ask, but they're not getting him. But
I feel like they. I don't know
if
he
they
can
lose
get
Van Fleet, like could you see Davion Mitchell to let them select your
You know what's crazy?
2022,
I don't want to. I
2023?
kind of don't want to give up on Davion.
Oh no, I get you.
I like Davion, man. I think he's just fine as a backup point guard, and he has the potential in some games to anchor your perimeter defense.
Yeah, but OG Anunoby will anchor your entire defense, and he'll play 35 minutes a night, and he'll anchor everything. And he'll be your third best player without having to be your third best scoring option.
That's tough. If that was presented like, hey, your first round pick, Davion, we can get the deal done. That'd be tough.
It's going to cost you a 2027, or it could be like a 2026 /
Or you could, but like you talking about, you could play with it, right? You could draft the guy this year and still you would have 2025 available to give them.
Well, no, I mean, you have to actually not make you have to make the playoffs and actually send the pick in 2024. Like there's no way to guarantee. I guess what you could do, you could call Atlanta and like pull the protections and offer a 2026, but it would have to be something like that. And if you got him, you would assume that next offseason you're going to be a very, very good team. And I'd want something from Atlanta as well, like to pull the protections.
John
like,
Collins.
Whether it's no, you don't want the money. But if it's a second round pick, or if it's like Johnson, or
I wish you could get Jalen Johnson.
They're not playing him that much. There are times where he plays a lot and times where he doesn't.
Yeah.
I don't think
they're Cam Reddishing him. They do the same thing with Cam
They like
Reddish.
to do that, don't they? Yeah, and then they like to pay people that you're like, what are they doing?
They do.
Yeah.
Hey, man, I appreciate you guys tapping in. We appreciate you guys tapping in. We're going to get up out of here. Enjoy your weekend. I will not be there tonight, but I should be there tomorrow. So anybody going to the game, you see me. I think Damien's going too. So you see me, Damien, or Ham, say what's up, man. So
yeah,
should be a fun weekend, man. So we appreciate you guys. Have a great weekend. We up out of here, man. Peace.